What's going on, Lions fans? Welcome to the Pride of Detroit PODcast, your home for all the latest and greatest Lions news, updates, analysis, and so much more. I'm your host, Miko, and in today's podcast, we are going to be actually tearing out all the important Black people that have played for the Detroit Lions in honor of Black History Month. I'm kidding. That is not what we're doing today, but we are going to, in fact, do a tier list where we are going to actually talk about the Lions offense and talk about the different rankings that we have for them, as well as talk about some breaking news regarding the Lions defense, because there's some really weird rules apparently regarding, whether or not players are put on the PUP list and what that means for them in the following season and things like that. So before we get into those things, let me introduce my amazing co-host. First and foremost, we have your senior editor over at prideofdetroit.com, Ryan Matthews at Ryan_POD. Happy Black History Month, Ryan.
Happy Black History Month to you as well, Mika. We may most likely not necessarily be famous people, but we certainly have an impact within the Lions community, that's for sure.
I appreciate you saying that. That's so wonderful. That's a great way of phrasing that. We're also joined by our editor-in-chief over at prideofdetroit.com as well, Jeremy Reisman at Detroit Online. Happy Black History Month, Jeremy.
Happy Black History Month, Miko. I hope people are enjoying these inside jokes that they have no chance of being on the inside of.
No, I think it's better that we just keep people in the dark and keep people basically just like hitting in the chat like, what the hell is going on? I think that's a great way of starting off any show.
Absolutely.
Once again, we are in the thick of it in the Lions offseason, and still there's actually some pretty interesting news that are going on. I think we need to start off with the most recent news that came out just a couple hours ago, with the news breaking that Levi Onwuzurike will actually still be on the Lions roster this year, and the same with Josh Paschal. Jeremy, I'm not even going to try to pretend like I can explain why this is happening. So I'm going to let you do it. Explain to us why this is actually possible.
Yeah. Well, first I want to shout out one of my Twitter followers, at Quan Dislike, who just sent me a screenshot of Over the Cap and Levi Onwuzurike's contract, and he's like, "Hey, what's the deal with this? It says he's under contract for 2026." And I initially kind of brushed it off. I'm like, that must just be a mistake. And then I was like, it's the offseason. Let me look into it. And so I literally emailed Jason Fitzgerald at Over the Cap, and he's like, "Hey, can you explain why this is? Was this just kind of a cell error or something?" He's like, "No, this is actually something in the CBA." He said, "Admittedly, I'm taking a little bit of a jump in faith in terms of the interpretation of it, but from my understanding, he is under contract." And so I did a little bit more digging and confirmed on my end that it absolutely is true, and then looked over at Josh Paschal because his situation is similar. But anyways, the wording of it basically is, if you are in the final year of your contract, it can be your rookie contract, it can be an extension, it could be whatever, the final year of your contract, and you spend the entirety of that final year of your contract on either the NFI or the PUP list, the non-football injury list, or the physically unable to perform list, which you have to be put on before training camp. So this is a pre-training camp injury, essentially. Your entire contract will toll over to the next season, meaning everything just basically gets shifted down a column from 2025 to 2026. Now, there's some intricacies involved that I don't want to get too far into, like because the physically unable to perform list is a little bit different than NFI, because you actually still get paid if you're on the PUP list, but if you're on the NFI list, you don't. The year that you miss. But basically, what that means is that both Levi Onwuzurike and Josh Paschal will be under contract, are currently under contract for the 2026 season. They don't need to be re-signed. They're not pending free agents, and they're both can be had or they both are essentially had for very small amounts. It's 1.5 million for Levi and fully guaranteed, and then it's I think it's 1 million. I saw written that it's 1 million. I don't quite understand why it's 1 million, because on Paschal's contract it's like 1.6 salary from his rookie contract the last year, but there might be a technicality happening there that I'm not fully aware of. Long story short, those guys are under contract for another year, and I think that's a really fascinating development, because I think we've already kind of had a debate whether those guys are worth keeping around because of their injury history. But now that they are essentially around for another year and, just a smidge above the veteran minimum, I think that kind of changes the conversation of like, hey, is this good news? Is this bad news? Is it indifferent? And I'm kind of curious how everyone's feeling, because judging from the rest of Twitter, there's a lot of mixed feelings on this news, I think.
Yeah, Ryan, I'm going to let you tee off on this first, because I think you actually have a pretty interesting perspective when it comes to Levi Onwuzurike. But yeah, how are you feeling, and where do you kind of landing with this news?
Yeah, I'm all for another year of Levi Onwuzurike for a couple of reasons. One, as Jeremy mentioned, I mean that's barely more than the veteran minimum in terms of contract for Levi Onwuzurike. So again, it is very much in the same vein as, and this isn't going to be popular to Lions fans, but it's very much in the same vein as Marcus Davenport for another year, right? However, at least with Levi, there was some proof of concept recently. Not last season because he didn't play at all, but he did finish as the co-leader in pressures for the Detroit Lions in 2024. He was tied with Aiden Hutchinson, who was done in week 5. But we'll set that to the side. The the important thing though is that you get a guy who the injury happened so long ago that hopefully by now it's healed and hopefully by now he has an opportunity to really ramp up into training camp, right? It's not this, hey, we're bringing him along slowly kind of thing because he is so, fresh off the injury. I think it's a really, really good situation that the Lions are in with the Levi Onwuzurike deal. I'm wondering if Josh Paschal makes the roster personally. Maybe there's an opportunity there, but Miko, I just don't think that there's enough in his body of work to suggest that he should be a guy that you should count on when it comes to filling out your depth chart in July and into August.
Yeah, I think you could reasonably make the same argument for both players that like, there's a question if either of them necessarily make the roster. But I think when you look at their body of work when they are healthy, obviously Levi's production, like the good production is more recent being that 2024 season. And I think we got to see like, hey, the full catalog of what Levi Onwuzurike could be for this team specifically in a role where he can be your big end. He can still maybe kick inside occasionally, but you're not necessarily expecting him to necessarily put up huge sack numbers or things like that. But you can at least count on him to be solid in run defense and at least push the pocket when he gets to passing downs. Josh Paschal like you said, is a very interesting case because I think they still like the versatility that Paschal provides in terms of being able to kick inside and play outside on certain downs and distances. But yeah, it's kind of a climb uphill, Jeremy. And when you kind of look at him as a player and what he's been able to accomplish, I think there's some nice value to have there in terms of like looking at depth. But especially if the Lions decide to either spend in free agency at that position or draft high at that position, he's likely looking at a pretty tough fight to make this roster, come the summer.
Yeah, I mean, I would view Josh Paschal as like a theory at this point. I don't know if he's a good player. I don't know if he's a bad player. We've seen 36 games of him. He started half of those. That doesn't feel like a lot, and he's missed time every single year. He's been dealing with injuries every single year. And so we haven't seen what Josh Paschal looks like at full capacity. And I don't mind throwing $1 million his way to see what that looks like. But I'm with you guys. Like, that doesn't guarantee him a spot on the roster. His salary is not guaranteed. And so, yeah, I mean, go throw him out there and let him battle, but it should not change your process in terms of your offseason. It's not like, oh, Josh Paschal's back? All right, well, I guess we don't need, to get some edge depth. I think we're fine there. Just bring back Al-Qadim Muhammad and we're done. Like, no, they obviously need to do a lot more there. Levi, I'm a little bit more enamored with. I was really excited to see what he was going to do this upcoming year. I felt that injury a lot when it happened. It felt like a more significant injury than maybe we were talking about at the time. Obviously, it also happened after they signed him, presumably after maybe was it? I can't remember if it was before or after the draft. We heard about it after, obviously, but either way, it felt like maybe the Lions weren't prepared to lose him last year. And should they go into this year assuming like he's playing, 1A at, that 3 to 7 spot on the line? No, obviously not. But I do like him as a depth option. I do like him as, your rotational guy that gets you 15 to 20 snaps, that can provide some juice on third down and pass rush from the interior. It's just, I mean, listen, we tend to only focus on additions in free agency as defined by starters. Having Levi Onwuzurike as a depth player that can give you rotational play is good news. It's good news. It's something that's going to help this team at some point because I do think he'll make the team. I do think he's got a chip on his shoulder, and I do think, in that 2024 season, he played some good ball. It wasn't outstanding ball, but he played some good ball. And obviously coming off an ACL is not going to be easy. We always talk about how that first year after a major injury is maybe not at his best, and he might not be at his best, but I do think he's a good body to have there. And I'm going to be a little bit hopeful about how he performs this year because, first of all, why not? Second of all, I've seen some good ball out of him.
Yeah, I'm glad that Miko pointed out, the positional versatility with Onwuzurike, because that's something that is really important to note. In like 2021, 2023, right? Like spotty play, didn't play a whole lot. But even in his rookie season, primarily a B gap guy, like 294 of his 396 snaps at that spot along the defensive line. But 2024, 635 total snaps, 219 in the B gap, 279 over the tackle, 126 snaps outside. So that kind of versatility, when you think about building out the roster, that's a guy who has a leg up because they trust him in different spots and in different situations, like Miko said, when it comes to run defense, when it comes to, rushing the passer. It's something that I'm definitely intrigued by. Funny enough, though, when Miko was like, like Paschal and like the defensive end, it's not maybe something you can count on because of like maybe we should give more credence and more thought, because when you look at that defensive end, the cupboard's kind of bare.
Yeah.
The cupboard's kind of bare in that spot. So again, I think that I'm leaning more Levi makes the roster and you see him actually make an impact on the Detroit Lions 2026 season over Josh Paschal, but I wouldn't exactly write him off.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest takeaways I can take from this news is that like overall it's good news. It's not ecstatic news. It's nothing to like Jeremy, to your point, to just like be able to pencil in both of these guys into necessarily key roles, but it is good depth because on the positive side, if both of these guys can come back healthy and if both of these guys are, not being hampered by those past injuries, you do have solid depth in both guys. You know what both guys are able to do for your defense. And I don't think this is a situation, again, no shade, but I don't think this is a Mekhi Wingo situation where you're going to be like, oh, Josh Paschal isn't active come game day. Like if Josh Paschal makes this roster, he's an active participant on game day. He is going to be in the rotation on probably first and second down because he is such a pretty good like run defender. That's probably where I would see him most, but it's at least a guy that you could count on to have that depth. And it, at least for Brad Holmes, simplifies. I'm not saying it erases the need for pass rusher because God knows this fan base would like light the city on fire if we go another season where the position isn't addressed, but it doesn't make it as big of a need of like, oh, well, we have to hammer this on day one or day two. Like you can continue to just add depth or, best player available.
Yeah. It's almost like if you combine Josh Paschal and Al-Qadim Muhammad, that'd be like, hey, there's a 3-down player right there because you like Josh Paschal and his run defense on first and second down. You kind of like what Al-Qadim Muhammad can do on third down. If you brought Al-Qadim Muhammad in and you had Josh Paschal, like, okay, you've got 2 part-time players. You still need that full-time player. You still need that guy that you can trust to be there every down, to not come off the field if you don't need him to, or if you do need him to not come off the field. But the fact remains that guys under contract right now outside of Josh Paschal at the edge, so Aiden Hutchinson, Ahmed Hassaneed, and Tyler Lacey. That's it. So there's still plenty of work to do. And again, like I don't really think either of these should change the Lions' plans this offseason. I feel like they need to go out there and not be like super aggro aggressive, but they need at least 2 or 3 contributors along the defensive line. And personally, I don't care where those roles are laid out in particular, but they need players. They need dudes.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of dudes on that defensive line, one of their dudes is actually up for a pretty big time award in this year's NFL Honors Awards, with talking about Aiden Hutchinson being up for Defensive Player of the Year, which I think is awesome considering obviously how last season ended and him being able to have such a strong year and kind of prove to himself as well as the rest of the league that he's still one of those top players. In addition to that, we also have Penei Sewell, who is one of the finalists for the first ever Protector of the Year award. My question to you, Jeremy, first of all, thoughts on both of these guys kind of, making that final push for these awards, and do you see one or both of them or either of them, possibly winning them?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we can easily eliminate Aiden Hutchinson for Defensive Player of the Year, right? That's just not going to happen in a year in which someone set the SAC record.
Respectfully, but yes,
Right.
I think
Right.
that's probably the most respectful way of putting it.
Yeah, comeback player is interesting. So the other nominees here are Stephon Diggs for the Patriots, Trevor Lawrence for the Jaguars, Christian McCaffrey from the 49ers, and Dak Prescott from the Cowboys. I don't know who I would pick as my favorite in that category in particular because, like, Dak Prescott, sorry, your team sucked and you didn't make the playoffs. I don't think you're going to win it. Trevor's probably a pretty good candidate there. Although it's always weird with comeback player of the year because is it like, are you coming back from sucking? Are you coming back from an injury? What are you coming back from? McCaffrey,
he was coming back from getting his brain scrambled in that
Right.
Houston Texans game. So
right. And then Christian McCaffrey, did he put over 2,000 total yards, right?
that's
I don't know.
Kind of hard to compete with.
Yeah, I to me, Aiden Hutchinson's stats just weren't eye-popping enough, and more so, it felt like he lost some momentum towards the end of the season a little bit. Like, it felt like if he would have kept on that early streak where he was forcing a fumble a game, then maybe it was. But you got to remember, like, this is voted towards the end of the season, and I feel like Hutchinson just wasn't buzzworthy enough to maybe win this award, whereas Trevor Lawrence was relevant, Christian McCaffrey was relevant, Stephon Diggs was relevant as those teams were, competing for playoff spots and into the postseason.
Yeah, I think it kind of mirrors what happens with Jahmyr Gibbs and why he wasn't an all-pro running back, Miko, right? We talked about it when we were talking about, the all-pro teams getting named, and like Bijan had a really strong end of the season, as did the Falcons, and James Cook won the rushing title. If Jahmyr Gibbs doesn't fall off towards or kind of like fade down the stretch, might be talking about him as an all-pro. And if Aiden Hutchinson finishes with maybe 18 or 19 sacks, because he finished with 14 and a half. Is that the number that he finished with?
That sounds
I think
close.
it was right in that neighborhood. But like, once you start pushing up towards those 20 numbers, then maybe, but that's always kind of the talk about with Hutch, right?
Yeah, I think we can all, like we said, fairly much agree, pretty much agree that like defensive player of the year probably isn't happening this year, and it's just because Myles Garrett was a monster this year. I do think comeback player of the year is a little more interesting. I get that Christian McCaffrey had a great year. I also feel like Christian McCaffrey gets hurt every year, and I feel like we could almost put him in this category by default every single season because he kind of like has years like that where he misses a good chunk of the season or misses the entire season and then come back the next year and proves that like, hey, he's somehow this freak athlete that doesn't seem to like these injuries don't seem to bother him. The one thing I will push back on though, like we talk about Hutch fading near the end of the season, and that's not quite accurate. Like in the last few weeks of the season, we had a sack against Chicago, 2 sacks against Minnesota, 2 sacks against Pittsburgh, and a sack against the Rams. Like that's solid production down the stretch of the season. I do think though Hutch does have this thing that's kind of plagued him early in his career where he kind of fades in the middle of the season. Starts out hot, fades a little bit in the middle, and then somehow, again, when he's been healthy, is able to ramp it back up at the end to have like pretty respectable sack numbers. And I feel like this year, considering the injury he had, considering the tear that he was on early last year, and where everyone was like, hey, this might be your defensive player of the year, for him to still come back and have 14 and a half, like that's pretty good numbers considering the type of injury he had. This wasn't an ACL. This wasn't, because I feel like ACLs are becoming fairly like common. Like dude snapped his leg in one of the more gruesome ways that you'll see on TV, and came back and was still one of the top players at his position.
Yeah,
that's fair. I forgot about the interception that he had in the Rams game too.
That's true. He should have housed it. He'd win it if he would have housed it. Good
point.
But
maybe the Lions win that game. Maybe they make the playoffs. Maybe Hutchinson wins all the awards.
What I am most interested in Protector of the Year, though, because first of all, it's the first time it's ever been done. Second of all, I think it's clearly the best shot that the Lions have at coming home with some hardware. And then thirdly, every other award that we talk about at the NFL Honors, pretty much every other award, is like an Associated Press one that is 50 members of the media coming together to vote for this. That's not what Protector of the Year is doing. Protector of the Year has former offensive linemen voting. And so, like, You can say maybe it's going to be a more legit process. Maybe not. There are certainly biases amongst former NFL players and who they like and who they talk about and things like that. But it's an entirely different process. So, if this was an AP award, do I think Panay would win it? 100%, because everyone's just going to go like, oh, look, his PFF grade's way better than everybody else's. Because how can you expect 50 media members to like analyze offensive line play? Like how often were you watching, I'm trying to pull up the names that are the other candidates that are up for, but whatever. I don't know. I wonder if we're going to get some like funky, inexplicable winners in this award just because the process is way different.
Ryan, I tend to think so, but I do find it fascinating that the list, like the list of finalists, is fairly balanced. Like you have 2 tackles, 2 centers, 2 guards. So it's not like it's one position dominant. I think the committee, whoever like got to these finals, at least did a good job of making sure that every position along the offensive line is at least accounted for. But yeah, I do start to wonder when you have former players voting on this, like how much are they going to put on just like tenure and like who's been the best at their position for the longest versus who was the best at their position this year. Like someone like Creed Humphrey is someone that I could see walk away with this award because Creed Humphrey's been good at his position for a long time, longer than I think Panay's been in the league. But obviously as a Lions fan, like, yeah, I think this should be like almost like a walk away with Panay with the year that he had.
Yeah, give us something, right? Like give us something, It was a long season. I was trying to remember, there's like an official set of things that they're grading these linemen on, right,
Yeah.
Jeremy? There's 4 different criteria. It's skill metrics, impact, leadership, durability, and strength of opponent. So there's 5 things that they consider. I like that durability's in there though, because it just reminds me of the greatest availability. The greatest ability. Anyways, I think the one thing that is really great about this award though is what Jeremy said. Like I like the fact that it's a panel of like former offensive linemen. Because if it's anything like what they're doing with Hall of Fame voting, clearly that's the wrong way to do things. So yeah, just like swing in the complete opposite direction. Put people in charge of voting on this who have like actually done the thing.
I think what's fascinating.
Before we,
really
no,
quick,
go ahead, Jeremy.
I was just going to, the fascinating thing to me is the Panay Sewell, is he the best offensive tackle debate has always been between him, Lane Johnson, and maybe Trent Williams.
Mm-hmm.
And Lane Johnson and Trent Williams are not up for this award. They are not one of the finalists. The other offensive tackle is Garrett Bowles for the Broncos. Aaron Brewer, the center for the Dolphins, Creed Humphrey, and Quinn Meinerz are the other guys. So I kind of think because those 2 are off the table that I still think Panay might win it.
I think so. I mean, you talk about, again, he was an All-Pro this year, another Pro Bowl year. Enough things line up to where I think, again, it should be like a shoe-in for Panay. A question I do have for you guys, like with us now getting the Protector of the Year, and I think there continues to be a lot of debate between like MVP versus Offensive Player of the Year. Do you guys foresee us getting more position-based awards similar to like the way college does things? And would that be even a good idea for the NFL to adopt?
I would like it as long as they're able to like actually delineate between real positions, unlike how Jack Campbell's 5th-year option blends in with all the outside linebackers that are actually pass rushers. Like, can we actually do like an off-ball linebacker instead of all linebackers? Can we do do you do a free safety and a strong safety? Do you do all these like a slot receiver versus a wideout? I don't know. Sometimes it feels like you can get too insular, but like at the same time, I would like to see some, like a nose tackle get some love. Who's the best nose tackle in football? I did recently find out that the Jack Campbell won Best Linebacker award because apparently that's the Butkus award is not just for college. Apparently there's an NFL version that is voted on by a panel of people that I don't know. But yeah, I mean, that's clearly not celebrated, right? I didn't know it existed. The Lions barely even mentioned it, I think, on social media that Jack Campbell won it. So like, it's not really a well-respected award apparently, but I'm just of the belief that the more recognition, the better. Give these guys a little pat on the back for being good at their position. What about the kicker? Like no love for the kickers out there. Yeah, I'm pounding the table for kickers, not punters. Kickers though.
You heard it here first. Jeremy, fan of kickers, not fan of field surrenderers. I think for me, it feels like it could get too granular. And then how do you determine like where a player is going to be voted on, like based on percentage of snaps or something? And then I don't know, like in an ideal world, like in a football utopia, yeah, it sounds great. I think for now though, like I just love arguing about the MVP. Like, can it be anybody other than a quarterback? Can anybody other than a quarterback win MVP moving forward? Because that's what Miko bringing up about Protector of the Year. It's kind of like spread across. Like it's not like it's going to be a tackle every year because tackle's the hardest position to play along the offensive line. Where yeah. I just always think it's so funny every year how you have the MVP and the Offensive Player of the Year, and almost every year, it seems like the Offensive Player of the Year is the person who should win MVP, but they don't play quarterback.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
that's how I think it should be broken down. But again, if things were that simple, Bill Belichick would be in the Hall of Fame. With that said, I think we got to talk about some of the news that's happening around the NFC North because there is a lot of shifting and moving parts and coaches and GMs and all the things. How are you guys feeling about the current state of the NFC North? Is there any team that you're just like drastically concerned about, Jeremy?
Concerned for their sake or concerned in terms of their threat to the Lions?
Oh, yeah, no, for their sake. We don't really, obviously this is all great for the Lions.
Well, it's honestly, it's both the Packers and the Vikings. And I want to start with the Vikings firing Adolfo Mensa because that was weird, right? Can we all agree that was weird? Not the fact that they fired him. I mean, you look at his last few drafts, really all of his drafts, and they're like, "Oh, you lasted this long? You got an extension last year after those drafts?" But they did it after like the coaching carousel and the GM carousel were essentially over. They did it after the man went down to the Senior Bowl and watched practices. They did it after he did they waited to do his end of season press conference, delayed it for a week, and then fired him like a week and a half later. And reading some of the stuff coming out of Minnesota, that organization comes out way more dysfunctional than I thought. Because honestly, I thought it was a pretty well-run organization. They've been at least competitive for a long time. I really respect Kevin O'Connell, and really the entire coaching staff they have there. But like now, there's rumors that Brian Flores, part of the reason he didn't sign an extension and was waiting, is just like, if you're keeping Flores, I'm not sure I want to be here. And that kind of like direct conflict between the general manager and your defensive coordinator is something where I'm just like, oh boy, what's going on here? Apparently, there was also like a power struggle, like. What did I read today? I think it was from Arif. He may have been aggregating from a different source that free agents weren't sure who was in charge there because there were other people in that front office making decisions that sometimes they went with over their general manager. And so I like starting there. I'm just like, wow, Minnesota, get it together, man. That's weird and messy and oof.
Well, I mean, I think it speaks volumes when you have the Minnesota Vikings organization say, "We think you're so bad at drafting, we're just going to do this thing without you." Like, we're just going to, instead of having a GM, we're going to use this as a PR opportunity to bring in a group of high schoolers to do some work-based learning because we think that they could do a better job in the NFL draft than you. Which that seemed to be the consistent narrative, Jeremy. Anytime we talked to Arif, it was like, the guy's great. He's dynamite in free agency, which apparently some of that praise needs to be shared amongst all the other people who are making decisions over his head.
Yeah.
But he was always like, he just can't draft at all, basically. And I am a little bit wary, Miko, though, of some of the stories you hear after a GM gets let go because it's, everything was his fault. This guy did this wrong and he did that wrong. And everything that this organization has done bad while he's been in charge, all that guy's fault. Praise Kevin O'Connell. Thank you, Saint Flores, for coming back. The Minnesota Vikings are just fine. There's nothing to see here, everybody. Just a dad who wanted some time with his son.
Oh God.
Just
How
a dad who wanted some paternity leave.
how long before we get Minnesota's owner coming out saying like, no, 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 he was the one that wanted JJ McCarthy. I actually wanted Sam Darnold to
Oh,
stay forever.
that's already been out there about, Kevin O'Connell was pretty adamant we need to move up for Drake May. And admittedly, it was going to be almost impossible for them to move up to 3 and take him from the Patriots. But it again, it seems like in the wake of that, it's like, oh, well, actually, who was fine with waiting? Who was fine with taking JJ McCarthy? It was the guy that we just kicked out of town.
Do you think there's any shot that if Sam Darnold had not made the Super Bowl, he'd still be around?
It didn't help.
I was
It
gonna say
couldn't have helped.
no, not even a little bit.
The fact that the two players the Minnesota Vikings let go at quarterback were both in MVP talks halfway through the season, not great.
Well, the Daniel Jones thing is interesting because apparently there are reports out there that Minnesota offered them a better deal than Indianapolis, and Daniel Jones said no. And maybe that part of that was like, you guys can't even get together who I'm talking to set up this deal.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, again, like that to me speaks a little bit to some deeper organizational problems. If Daniel Jones doesn't want to be with frickin' Kevin O'Connell, who has resuscitated careers, and he picks Indy instead for less money and less guarantees, why? I need to know why.
Yeah. I mean, beyond though, just the threat of like, if I stay here, I really have to compete with JJ? Like, why do I have to compete with that guy? I'm better than that guy, right?
Yeah, that's probably it. And then, okay, so whose fault is that? I mean, probably Cuoso's for drafting him, right?
Yeah, maybe. I would say so.
Yeah, at least a little bit. I think then you move over to the Bears, who, again, I expect to hear just as much brain drain conversation as we had to hear about the Lions this season.
That's not
When
fair.
you lose, I think it's perfectly fair. You lose your assistant GM, you lose your offensive coordinator, you lose your running back coach. I want that same energy when people start talking about the Bears because you lost people after 1 year. Like Dan did it after a couple years where the system should have been proven and people questioned it. At least losing an offensive coordinator. Again, I get that Ben is seen as the brain trust of that offense, but Jeremy, but like that has to have some impact.
Maybe. I don't know. I can't pretend like I'm a Bears expert and know how the power structure worked there, but like obviously there's a belief in Declan Doyle, right? There's a belief that he can be an offensive coordinator at age 19 or however old he is. I don't know how much I believe in it, to be honest. I think Ben Johnson's a pretty smart dude, and I think his resume already speaks for itself. But like, I think them losing their assistant general manager is certainly interesting, Ian Cunningham.
But not getting anything in return for it.
The weird loopholes in the Rooney Rule where because they hired Matt Ryan as their president, whatever, who essentially has final call in personnel. I think that's the key thing, because the buck stops with Matt Ryan in terms of personnel decisions. That's not considered a full promotion and therefore not applicable for the Rooney Rule.
So who do we send the gift basket to? Like, what's the address to Matt Ryan's house?
I guess you're right.
Just a basket full of peaches.
Anytime you lose some front office guys, that has a little bit of a trickle down effect because obviously you have to replace him, and then if you're doing it in house, you have to replace the guy that replaces him, and someone is going to have to probably take on responsibilities that they've never had, and you never know which directions that's going to go. And listen, Eric Bieniemy is an accomplished coach. You can make all the jokes about him not ever being an offensive coordinator successfully outside of Kansas City, but that's a veteran coach that I'm sure Ben Johnson relied upon in their run game. And like I said on this podcast, I think before, like we saw DeAndre Swift do a lot better this year, do things that we didn't see him do in previous years. And so, and they did a lot with the rookie whose name is currently escaping me for some reason.
Monangai?
Monangai. He had a fantastic year too. So, it's going to hurt but is it going to be noticeable? I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Yeah, I think the thing that I'm most worried about is Scotty Montgomery becoming the offensive coordinator of the Chicago Bears. And I'm not trying to wish that upon anybody.
He wouldn't do
I'm
that.
just saying he wouldn't do it.
No, is that even a promotion? He's not going to be calling plays.
But the thing I mentioned to Jeremy before we got on the show, how quickly we get to see the Ben Johnson coaching tree come to fruition as soon as 1 year after he gets hired. Now we get to watch Declan Doyle in Baltimore. But maybe, I don't know. Like, I think you look at what Sean McVay and the Rams have done, and I'm not trying to say one's going to lead into the next, but I'm saying that, like, you see the proliferation of coaches joining because they see that as an opportunity. Like, I think it would be wild to even say that that's not happening in Detroit, right? You get Kafka and you get Petzing in one coaching cycle. You can't tell me that there wasn't another opportunity for Kafka out there to go to someplace and have more say than where, what he will here in Detroit. So I don't know. Just no Scotty Montgomery. Hands off. No, thank you.
Same goes for you, Jets.
Very much so.
You get John Gruden,
Jeremy-
Jets. You floated that out there. You get John Gruden.
Jeremy, you also mentioned having some concerns about the Green Bay Packers, who also are basically losing a lot of their defensive staff with Jeff Hafley taking the head coaching job in Miami. I mean, that was a unit that was looking really good prior to Micah Parsons getting hurt, prior to Devontae Wyatt getting hurt. So, like, I mean, you talk about obviously both of those guys maybe missing a little bit of time next year, as well as basically rebuilding your defense. Like, I don't know, how much faith should Packers fans have in Jonathan Gannon as, the new guy calling the shots there in Green Bay?
Let me list off the coaches that Jeff Hafley took with him to the Dolphins. He took linebackers coach Sean Duggan. He took defensive pass game. No, he didn't take him, but they changed defensive pass game coordinator Derek Ansley. They lost secondaries coach Ryan Downard. They lost defensive quality control coach Wendell Davis. And on top of that, their quarterbacks coach Sean Mannion went to the Eagles to be their offensive coordinator. And Nathaniel Hackett, defensive. He was a defensive analyst, but he's an offensive guy. Mm-hmm. Is now the Dolphins quarterbacks coach. So in total, I think he took 5 coaches with him, 4 of them on the defensive side of the ball. And yeah, I don't know what I think of Jonathan Gannon. It's hard for me to parse through like defensive coordinator versus head coach. And a lot of times I think there's a chance that you can be a good defensive coordinator, but not a good head coach, especially if your name's Jim Schwartz and you throw tantrums in buildings. But at the same time, Jonathan Gannon's resume as a defensive coordinator is not that pristine either. It's 2 total years with a stacked roster in Philadelphia. And I'm not saying like, listen, the Lions have a pretty good roster and aren't producing some of the numbers that they did in Philly, but I mean that's a significant loss, and I think sometimes it's hard to see just how much that Packers defense has improved since they let go of Joe Barry and replaced him with Hackett, but it's been a lot. You talk to Packers fans and they worshipped Hafley's. Did I say Hackett? Hafley's. They worship Hafley's. The ground that Hafley walks on. So I think that's a big loss in the fact that he's taking a bunch of young staffers with him. It's going to take a while for the Packers to recover. And I mean that in terms of hiring, and maybe I mean that on the field too. I think it's going to be a pretty significant blow. And while I think their offense is going to be just fine, got to be able to do both in this league.
And Ryan, I was already kind of under the mindset that like the Green Bay Packers defense a little overachieved. Like obviously you got Micah Parsons and that helped make things a lot easier for a number, but like I still kind of like look back at that season and feel like that secondary like overperformed when you look at the talent that they actually have. So to Jeremy's point, like yes, you do need to, rebuild your coaching staff, but you're also going to still need to build up your defense with new players. And it's going to be interesting to see what Gannon prioritizes and what type of style he wants them to play like this upcoming season.
Yeah, the Packers have a lot of work to do this offseason, I think, in terms of their roster. Like, I think they're starting to they're going to start to feel some of the constraints of that Jordan Love contract. They're still trying to figure some things out on offense in terms of, do we have a number 1 wide receiver? And then on defense, though, I think the big the big narrative was you get dynamite superstar pass rusher Micah Parsons, and that's gonna fix everything. Like everybody's gonna get better. The funny thing though is that as soon as he went away, it was like everything fell off a cliff. Like Rashawn Gary didn't have a sack after week 8. It's like tough, real tough. Like in terms of is Lucas Van Ness a player for them? They've invested an awful lot of draft capital. Now that's going to be in effect in the next couple of years. The picks that they had to trade, that they had to cough up to get Micah Parsons. How early does he return in the season in 2026? So there's an awful lot of questions over there, and beyond Jonathan Gannon's incredible season he had in 2022, I just want to know defensively, the Cardinals were almost never good defensively during his tenure there. So I guess the point is the Packers got the worst that the Cardinals coaching staff had to offer. And we got to raise that banner as Lions fans for the week that we dealt with Petsing hate.
I think that's a great banner to raise, definitely going through the rest of this offseason. Another great banner to raise is raise the banner for Righteous Felon Craft Jerky, because that is the banner that all protein snacks should bow down to, right? Like that's the standard when it comes down to quality jerky, in my opinion. And the Pride of Detroit podcast is brought to you by Righteous Felon Craft Jerky. It's the jerky that fuels the Pride of Detroit PODcast. Each 2-ounce bag of jerky has 16 to 20 grams of protein, and each stick has 8 grams. Trust me, if it's good enough for the Lions, it's going to be good enough for you too. Righteous Felon is based in Westchester, Pennsylvania. They use locally sourced, all-natural black Angus beef and prides itself on superior quality, revolutionary branding, and unique flavors that go beyond the stereotypical jerky offering. I was like going through my workout today, got home from the gym, and immediately hit my pantry because I had to grab my Maryland Monroe, which I'm still pretty much chewing on and basically snacking on now. But it's like it's that good, Jeremy. Like I can't think of too many other flavors that I recommend as good as that one. What about you? Do you have any that you gotta recommend to the people?
Oh man, I love them all, honestly, and I don't say that as like, hey, they're a sponsor. I love them all. Like I get excited when I usually buy the variety pack, and I'm just like, oh, I still have this one? Oh, I still have this one? Like, there's not one where I dig in and, like, just sometimes I'll just grab and pull, and I'm just like, oh, cool. This is the gochujang one, which name is currently escaping me. But, no, I'm, like, I don't even want to play favorites. I love the bourbon flavored one. I love the barbecue flavored one. I'm sorry I'm doing a bad job with names, but, hey, I love the flavor deep down. That's what's important here.
Well, the important thing, too, is the variety pack. Right? Yeah, just buy the variety pack, and you're not going to hate anything that comes out of it. You always do that at places, right, Miko? Like you get a variety pack of something, and then 6 of them sit in the box, and nobody touches them in the pantry.
Everyone just eats the nacho cheese Doritos, and no one wants the Ruffles.
I was going to say salt and vinegar. Like no one wants that variety pack, but like, sure. All right. Fine. We can talk about it in the break. But absolutely, if you want to get more familiar with the different flavors that they have over at Righteous Felon, you can head over to righteousfelon.com. Use the promo code POD15 at checkout, and that's actually going to help you get 15% off your order. So again, you get a variety pack, you get to save a little money. It's a perfect combo deal. So again, that promo code is POD15 at righteousfelon.com. When we come back, we are going to dive into our tier list and talk about some of the different offensive players and where we feel like this Lions offense basically sits at, as well as talk about some of the free agents that are going to be on this offense as well. So we're going to talk about that and a whole lot more right after this.
All right. We're on break. MJ Kimball coming to defend salt and vinegar chips. Oops.
Argue with your mama.
Man, I don't know. Jeremy said Ruffles, plain Ruffles, like not crazy about them unless we have dip. Unless we have chip dip, I'm not crazy about original Ruffles. Sour cream and cheddar Ruffles, though. Okay, hold on. Sour cream.
I'll still do plain.
Come on.
Yes, absolutely. I'll still do plain Ruffles though with like a PB&J.
Oh.
Throw them in the sandwich.
Okay. All right. Hey, I'm not gonna hate. I'll participate.
Yeah, surround it with flavors that make it so you can't taste the chip, and it's only essentially a texture. Sure.
A little savoriness from the salt. Yeah. I mean,
yeah. I'm just saying, if a chip needs dip or it needs to be in a sandwich for you to enjoy it, it's not a good chip.
So
It's
is it
just a
just
vessel.
Ruffles or all plain chips?
To me, it's all plain chips. You won't catch me just eating regular Lay's.
But would you eat like regular kettle cooked chips?
See, that's a different
Maybe,
type of chip.
but I feel like I'm always grabbing like the jalapeno first, or
Sure.
I would-
Okay.
salt and vinegar for sure as well.
Dude, those kettle cooked, I forget the name. They're the really popular ones though, the honey mustard ones. Oh my goodness. No, they're honey Dijon.
Oh,
Honey Dijon. Oh my goodness.
all dressed Ruffles, is that a real thing?
Mm-hmm.
That is a real thing.
All right.
Like,
Kettle chips
Lay's
are
can't
greater
even
than
hold
kettle
dip.
corn. I agree. I do enjoy kettle corn though.
I do enjoy kettle corn, but it's something that I feel like I have to have every once in a while as a treat. Like, because kettle corn makes me want to have like movie popcorn. Like, it reminds me of a better form of this thing I'm eating. You know what I mean?
If you're getting a popcorn tin and it's split into three things,
Yeah.
just like a normal salted,
Oh, let's go.
a
I don't know.
cheese one.
I think there's cheese.
and-
Are you asking for a list cast right now?
I mean, there's only three. There's only three. Because like,
Okay.
I think it's usually just what, like, it's a regular popcorn, it's a cheese popcorn, and then caramel popcorn.
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen more sections, but yeah.
Okay.
Like,
yeah. If we're going with just the three, like, yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
OG
Okay.
typical. That's the OG three.
Which
wait,
one
so
are-
you're
which-
what three
which-
are you doing?
I'm just saying which pile is gone first.
Ooh, I think the cheese one for me personally.
Ooh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Of that three, caramel's usually gone first for me.
That'd probably be my second.
I honestly might be OG first.
Oh,
That's fair. That's
Look at
second vote
us.
for me. That's two.
Yeah. This is the spice of life right here. We're all different.
we're unlike the Vikings and their triangle of authority. This one works well.
For some reason, like, it's not that I dislike caramel corn or kettle corn. It's just, I think like you, I just have to be in a specific mood for a sweet popcorn. I like savory. In general, I think I just like savory much more than I like sweet.
And like the one up to not doing straight up sweet popcorn, but like just a little box of M&Ms. Just dump them in the popcorn, and every once in a while, oh look, I came up with a few M&Ms. Guess I'll put these in my mouth.
How do you do that in a way that they don't sink to the bottom, though?
No, I mean you got to fish for it, and then you're ending up with a salty, buttery hand. But you know, you know what that was worth the price of admission. You knew what it was going to cost you eating movie popcorn. Popcorn is such a darn good treat, though. It's so good.
I'm gonna cheat the system and I'm gonna request a list cast myself because I do want to know, like, because we teased it. It only has to be three, but if you had to build your own like popcorn tin, what are the three you're going with? I did spend the points. I didn't complete.
Yeah, I see them. I see them. I'm gonna take them.
Do you want to read alerts? And
Yeah, I'll read alerts while you guys think of it.
okay,
Build your 3-tier cast here. All right. MJ Kimball, thank you for the 62 months subscribed on Twitch using that Twitch Prime. Appreciate you. Roar Lions UK, 40 months total subscribed. And if you're still watching, guys, so sorry for your loss, man. That was some real sad news to wake up to this morning. So I hope you guys are doing okay. Didn't get a chance to swing by your stream this afternoon, but just want to say, been thinking about you guys a lot today. So, Knoxville Lions fan, 42 months subscribed on Twitch. Rye is the beast over on YouTube. A $5 super chat says thoughts on a certain writer with mainly negative takes about number 9 in the past, saying Stafford should come play in his final season in Detroit.
Miko, we pass it to you.
I don't want to start Black History Month off this way. I had a response. It was 2 words, and I chose not to share it, even with our staff.
No, I mean, it's a ridiculous take, right? I mean, there's It makes no sense.
There's literally no way. There's no.
I didn't read it, and I won't read it, and I won't share it. And even now, I feel like we're giving it too much attention. But from like a logistical standpoint, it's a nightmare. I don't know. Like, I don't know if the suggestion is to get rid of Goff or sign number 9. I don't know why I'm not saying his name. To a 1-year deal that's like the most expensive QB2 contract of all time. What? What, like, what?
You know, I feel like it's an easy move to do this in sports writing where it's like, I'm just going to argue to do the impossible, and then the impossible doesn't happen. And then when said team doesn't meet expectations or win a Super Bowl, then it's like,
so.
well, you didn't do my thing.
But
if you just did my thing, everything'd be great.
The thing that bothers me about articles like that, and again, I didn't read it, so maybe there is some sort of rationale on how you make it work in terms of salary cap stuff.
Or it could be satire.
Or it could be satire. But based on a certain person's reputation, I'm pretty confident that person does not have a strong understanding of salary cap management.
I think that's a fair assumption to make.
That's fair. Because that was literally where my mind went. Like, when I read the title, I was like, you can't even make the money work.
Right. And I swear to God, if the justification is, look at what the Saints have done, they managed to find money, I'm going to scream.
It's my favorite argument for the salary cap.
I also feel like it's a funny take from that person, considering, like, it's essentially you're saying like that's the only reason the Lions haven't made it like close to a Super Bowl right now is because of the quarterback. And it's like, no, like, tons of injuries on your defense the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And a collapse in an NFC Championship game in the second half is kind of why you haven't done that.
100%. And the funniest thing that cannot be lost on anybody is that this is the guy that everybody said couldn't get the Lions to the Super Bowl for years and years and years
including
and
that
years.
person.
Including said person.
But this talent, Brian, the talent that they have now, Matthews, and never mind. I don't even want to entertain it. That's so stupid.
Bring back the guy who needed an epidural to play football this year. That's what this team is missing.
Listen, he
bring back
couldn't
the
even
dude
make
that
it.
you don't even know if he wants to play this year. Like, the Rams don't even know if he's playing next year. And you're gonna make that argument.
He wasn't good enough to give them a Super Bowl this year. What good is that? We already have a quarterback that can get us to the divisional round or the NFC Championship game. All right, what do we need another one for?
I mean, we have a quarterback that can beat Sam Darnold.
And here's the thing. I kind of want Matthew Stafford to retire so that I don't have to hear anybody make any... I've seen people legitimately debate out loud, say this claim, say, is Puka Nacua the best receiver that Matthew Stafford's ever played with? And I just am so offended by even the insinuation that numbskull, absolute moron, Puka Nacua. I love skydiving. Okay, dude. Go home. Go home.
Wait, can you say that again? I think I heard it wrong. Is Puka Nacua the greatest receiver that Matthew Stafford has played with?
That's the word on the street, Miko. And typically it's like Ram Street, but I'm just saying. I've actually heard that, you know what was really holding Matthew Stafford back? It was Calvin Johnson. You know, Calvin Johnson was too tantalizing to throw the ball to. So he learned how to become a quarterback in LA.
Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Can we go back to talking about popcorn, please?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, let's do that.
This is what you've done to the show, Rise the Beast.
What have I done? Oh, okay. It's my burner.
All right. Captain James Kirk, 54 months, subscribe to the channel, says, see everyone, we don't need help on the D-line now. We like where we are at. Holmes, Campbell, Sheila, Goff, and Dorsey, probably. Sarcasm.
No. There's no way that's the sentiment. It better not be.
It's not. It's not. Austin Mammoth, 41 months, subscribed on Twitch, says backup running back of the year. Are you saying that's what Dave Montgomery would win if we specialized awards?
Oh. If we're going to specialize awards, I want an award that is like goes to like the most misused player. And it's just like pointing the finger at the coaching staff for like, why are you screwing this up?
We all want to see this guy.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, it was just whoever was Atlanta's head coach for Kyle Pitts.
For Kyle Pitts.
AP Durag, 22 months, says mock draft soon.
We have to.
I will turn to the staff and ask them.
Live or like?
Man.
I could name maybe 5 people in this draft class right now. I have not turned my focus to it at all. I like that center at the Senior Bowl. That's my guy.
Is he a center or is he a guard?
That guy?
I don't know. I think he's a center. He's a center. He was like, everyone says he's short, but like very technically sound.
Oh.
That guy. Chad will know who I'm talking about. I certainly don't.
This year's Zach Frazier for Jeremy.
That's right. Starting it early.
A little short guy, but
Sam
he's
Hecht.
got a background in wrestling.
Sam Hecht. He's not short. He's just skinny-ish. It's 297.
That's kind of skinny.
But he's 6'4".
That's really skinny.
Oh.
For 6'4".
Yeah, just get him on an NFL diet. He'll be all right.
Yeah. That's my early guy. And by early guy, I mean, like, only guy I've read up at least a little bit on.
Do you think...
As in people, I'd be fine with them picking on day 2.
Nah, he might be... He's also Duke Manyweather's OC1, so that does carry some weight for me.
Do you think Frank would be willing to take him on in a mentorship role to, like, feed him up and put some weight on him? Like, hey, we're going to go fishing for a month.
Hey, I've eaten 6,500 calories. I can help him get up to speed.
Yeah. He can help me eat my nuggets.
Everyone wants that Dunkers kid. The like red-haired mullet guy.
It happens every year though, and I'm glad we found. Like, I'm glad the fan base found a guy. But like, let's just say it now. It might not be him.
Liam in chat. I want. Is that supposed to be Ratledge and Ginger Tate Ratledge to round out, or Rutledge? Okay.
Rutledge is Ginger Tate Ratledge.
Rutledge is Ginger Tate Ratledge. Okay.
Yes.
Now I understand.
Think. Wait, no. Who? I don't know who Rutledge is.
I don't understand.
Ginger Tate Ratledge is Jennings Dunker or Jennings Dunker. I don't know how he says his name. That's how early I am. Kaylin Rutledge is a different person. Not Ginger Tate Ratledge.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yes. Mock draft.
Whoa, he looks kind of ginger too.
Yeah, taking over, man.
Hold on, I thought we wanted everyone hairless.
Just coaches.
Only coaches, yeah.
Only coaches.
Coaches in front office.
Because Dan Skipper retired. We're moving away from that. Sorry, Gio.
But that's why it was a natural transition for Dan Skipper to go into
be
coaching.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let me get through the rest of these. Then we'll go back to popcorn talk. Then we'll talk whatever. Clearly not going to talk about draft because I'm not sure any of us are prepared to do so yet. Grandpa, quarterback, 25 months, says Super Bowl sim. I need to gamble. Maybe. It's going to have to be earlier in the week, though, because I am out of town this weekend. So maybe like a Thursday night Madden sim? Super Bowl Madden sim? What do you think about that?
I mean, you got to run it, so yeah.
Tentatively planned for a Thursday night. I'm not going to Santa Clara. I would like to. At some point. Thursday night, Super Bowl Madden sim. Tentatively scheduled. Colorado Line, 14 months, says, I'm Saint months old. If you were a Browns fan and before the season I told you that 2 of your quarterbacks made the Pro Bowl, how would you think your season went? How would you feel now? Joe Flacco and Shedeur Sanders, Pro Bowl quarterbacks. In the year
Wait, they're both in the Pro Bowl?
Yeah.
Yep.
Redo the whole system. Redo the entire system.
I think we just need to be like, hey, if we are on our 5th alternate in any position, we're just not going to have that position at the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, it just doesn't get represented.
Yeah. Or like
Lamar has to play the whole game. Like
throw in like the flag football champion in some random league at that position.
There you go.
Well, I was gonna say, well, hold on. You're playing flag football. Anybody should be able to play quarterback then.
That's what I'm saying.
Like you're not playing. No, I mean like any professional. Like you should just pick another player.
Oh,
like the running back is going to play. Yeah, you're playing quarterback now.
Well, they play around with that, right? Like Jahmyr Gibbs got an interception last year.
I don't know. I saw Jahmyr cook Panay though in a pass rush drill. So
I did see that too. And Panay was just like, "Nah, F this. I'm out. I'm out." I think that's Kelvin Shepard's new weapon.
On third down,
his innovative defense is running backs at edge on third downs.
They're just too shifty.
The problem is, how does Jahmyr Gibbs look when he tries to tackle a quarterback that's bigger than him?
Unnecessary roughness, low hit.
Right.
Number 0, 15-yard penalty.
You have to consider, though, who would get more playing time. I think David Montgomery would be more likely to stay with the Lions just because they want that big edge.
He's an edge setter.
Yeah. They just want David Montgomery set the edge.
David Montgomery's long arm.
Yeah.
Speed to power.
If you think about it, he might be the most versatile player on the team. Quarterback, running back, edge setter.
Yeah.
And Brad Holmes wants to run him out of town.
He did put a big hit on Devin Witherspoon.
It's very true.
That is still one of my favorite plays.
Word is that's like the plot for Devin Witherspoon's like grave. Perfectly implanted
the
beneath
35-yard line on the hash mark there.
There's a video on TikTok where like someone made a highlight reel and it's like Devin Witherspoon, like it's a highlight reel of Devin Witherspoon like destroying people, like just big hit after big hit, and it's like Devin Witherspoon was destroying people, and then it's like 3 minutes into the video, and then it's just like the Monty hit over and over and over again, and it's just like until he ran into David Montgomery.
I would love to see an edit where he literally goes underground and then just like covered up in a grave.
Mm-hmm. That would be good. The edits online are so out of control. The edits online are out of control.
I'm just saying someone has the ability to do that.
Oh, yeah.
And I know the highlight's over a year old now. Just do it. Tag Pride of Detroit, and I'm going to retweet it from all of our accounts. We're active now. Way more active on Instagram and TikTok now.
Miko's chopping up over there.
I don't know what one... I know it's not important. I don't know what won angry run of the year for that, like the year that happened, but that should have won. I don't care what else happened.
Oh, yeah.
There shouldn't be any travel impact for the PODD mailbag. So that it's being recorded, I assume tomorrow. I haven't talked it over with Eric because I'm bad at communicating, but and I haven't even put out a call to Pride of Detroit Direct subscribers either. So I need to get on my crap. Maybe we do it Wednesday. Yeah, I didn't put out an email request yet. I think here's my plan for PODD this week. I think I'm going to write something tomorrow because I haven't written anything in a little bit. In that will also be your request for questions. Then we'll do the PODD mailbag maybe on Wednesday and send it out either Wednesday afternoon or Thursday. But that's not it for PODDD. Did I add? I think I added another D there. Because we're also doing a first bite this week. On the Senior Bowl, we're going to talk draft for Pride of Detroit Direct subscribers. Bring in our good friend, Brett Whitefield, to talk about everything he saw down in Mobile. And so you're going to get loaded with PODD content. You got an article from Tide this morning, an article from me tomorrow, and a call for questions. Then you're going to get a PODD mailbag, which may come in 1 or 2 parts. Then you're going to get First Bite.
Yes, sir.
Maybe I should be announcing this on the actual podcast, but anyways, that's where we're at. Kevin James Kirk, 25-bit says, need a righteous felon and Miko emote. Ooh. Yeah, how do we do that?
I saw that there were some people in chat that were going back and forth on what kind of cow to use. Someone put in a spotted cow, and they're like, no, that's a dairy cow. You can't use that for righteous felon.
It's got to be a steer, right?
So then they put in the brown cow. And then I could not stop thinking of Anchorman. How now, brown cow?
How now, brown cow? Yeah, I'd like to up our emote game in general, but Miko definitely needs some representation.
It's a perfect month for it.
It's true. It's true.
Waiting for it, dude.
It's true. As soon as the words came out of my mouth, I'm like,
I heard repra, and I was like, okay, Miko.
No, hold on. Rise of Beast, another $2 super chat, says, I don't think he should. I think referring to Matthew Stafford, just a silly take. A silly take indeed. Cam James Kirk, 10-bit says, give Stafford the Bobby Bonilla contract and it could work. That's a baseball reference. I don't understand it.
Yeah, like the Mets pay Bobby Bonilla like millions of dollars, I think, like every day in July.
I do remember seeing that tweet. It's like, happy Bobby Bonilla Day.
What an amazing day.
DC Smithers, £5 super chat, says, Roger Goodell just said there will be 9 international games this year. Where do you want to go besides Paris? So they've already announced 8, correct? I feel like when they announced Paris this morning, everyone's like, there's 8 official ones. I see Mexico City. Looks like that's the 9th. So let me see if I can find the full list. International.
I was gonna say the game in France. I saw a lot of the backlash was like France wanting football so bad, and they get Saints Browns.
Yeah. All right. So it's Melbourne, Rio de Janeiro, Munich, Mexico City, London 3 times, Madrid, and Paris.
Have they announced the Melbourne game yet or no?
The Rams are one of the participating teams for Melbourne.
Blech. If it was the Lions, I would have seriously considered it. I've always wanted to go to Australia.
Yeah.
No, Miko, you don't want lizards coming up out of toilets.
Too many everything. Like
too many things that can kill you.
I don't know if it's a meme at this point, but like the fact that like Australia has everything, like Australia might as well be Skull Island. Like that's the way they talk about it.
Australia was like top on my bucket list for a while when I was younger, but I think I also have kind of grown to be like, no.
Yeah, when you were young and you didn't know better,
right? It just looked weird, and like there's kangaroos and people talk funny. Like that sounds cool. Now I'm more like, oh no, like I actually want to see. I want to go to places with interesting food. I want to go to places with like interesting nature. Like anywhere in Scandinavia to me would be high on it, but.
You saw Kangaroo Jack. Just say it. You saw Kangaroo Jack, and you're like, I don't know. Doesn't seem so great.
Plus, like
I know
I
specifically
think the logistics of just being across the world sucks.
Yeah.
Like I was trying to watch the Australian Open for the past 2 weeks, and I'm like, I'm not setting my alarm for 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah, there was a specific video or image of like a ridiculously large spider, and I'm not even like I'm not even scared of spiders like that, but the size of this spider was like, that should not be possible. You should burn the entire country if you just have those. And I can't even remember which one it was, but I was like, hell no, the entire country's off the list.
I'd rather go New Zealand than Australia at this point.
No, too close to Australia.
I'd run into too many Lord of the Rings nerds there too.
Oh man, there you go, yucking people's yum.
That was mostly a joke. Mostly.
There's no. Is there an Ireland game you said or no?
There is not this year.
Aw.
Oh man.
If there's an Ireland game, I'd want to go to Ireland for sure. That'd be cool.
I think Germany, Brazil, and Spain are probably my top 3. Although I still haven't been to London. I feel like London's like your gateway drug to travel. Like everyone speaks English there.
That's the gateway drug. I thought Mexico or like Canada. At least here.
Maybe.
Like,
but no, I think you could do Mexico or Canada and then never travel again. But like going overseas, like that's actually dipping your toe and like actually could lead to more travel.
Yeah.
I'll tell you guys this, that Hostel movie that came out like back in like the mid 2000s killed Europe for me for the longest. For the longest time, I was like, hell no. I don't know the exact count of black people over there, but I just feel like we'd be like a high delicacy, and I'm just not trying to.
Oh my goodness.
Trying to be on the list.
I stayed in a hostel in Carolina.
Mm.
It was pretty.
Okay.
It was pretty normal.
Congrats on surviving.
Yeah, here.
I think Rio would be really fun. That's probably my top of my list.
I would rather go see the Winter Olympics before I go see the Summer Olympics, and the only reason I say that is because you said Rio, and like I feel like the Olympics were there kind of recently, right?
That sounds right.
Within at least like the past like 15, 20 years or whatever. But like, yeah, just the Winter Olympics coming up. I love the Winter Olympics. Like I think it has something for just about everybody. Like the Summer Olympics, I feel like I get burnt out on them. Like I just get sick of like seeing a pool. Like it's impressive, but like so much swimming.
Yeah. so much
Maybe
pool
That chlorine smell would get like annoying. Like after a couple hours.
Miko, I think that legit might be it. I think I might just watch it and I start to like smell chlorine. Like I'm like in my own home and I'm just like
Bro, so I had a student that was like that was on the dive team, and I went to like support once, and I had forgotten like how much I hate. Yeah, I think maybe I went more than once, but like I remembered like the minute I got to like the pool area and the smell hit me, I'm like, oh yeah, this is why I don't like indoor pools. Like this is atrocious.
Yeah.
I kind of like chlorine smells. Does that make me weird?
Yeah. Where do you fall on the gasoline vinegar thing? Because isn't it like you're only supposed to like one of those smells?
Oh yeah.
I definitely like the smell of gasoline. I do.
Yeah. Way more than vinegar.
Somebody needs to check Jeremy's history. What's going on here?
What does that mean?
Who likes vinegar? I actually kind of like the smell of vinegar a little bit, but I do prefer the smell of gasoline to it.
I was gonna say like there's just too much racing in summer Olympics, but there's probably an equal amount of racing in the winter.
Yeah, and I get like maybe somebody might point out my criticism of the pool thing and be like, oh, so like you just prefer all the events to be on frozen water instead? And it's like, okay, fair.
You can't smell it.
I just think, I guess personally, I can get my wife to watch figure skating. Like I'm pretty pumped to watch figure skating. I feel like this is the first. Yeah, this is the first year that we've been together since like the Winter Olympics have happened. And I just know that she'll buy into the drama behind it.
I'm being accused of race baiting in the chat. I don't even know what I said.
Well, because you were talking about racing, and I laughed. When you said racing, and my first thought went to the other kind of racing.
There's too much. I said there's too much racing.
There's too much racing.
There's
and I was just like,
too many.
That's a weird thing to say about the Olympics, but all right.
David Lunch says there is an event where you ski and shoot a gun. What stronger argument needs to be made?
Kyle G, thank you for the 12 months. Says let's fucking go 1 year. Thanks, KG. Kyle G. All right, popcorn. We're gonna bring it all the way back.
We talked about popcorn.
Your 3 top popcorn flavors, essentially, is what this is, right?
Yeah, that you would put in a 10 if you could like have a custom 10. Which I'm surprised there's not a place that does that. There has to be, right?
I'm sure there is. There's got to be.
Okay.
Okay.
And if no one has it, it's our deal. It's our idea. You can't steal it. We trademark it right now.
Yeah, this is our idea.
And if there is one that does it, reach out to us so we can do a POD popcorn flavor.
Build your own popcorn tin.
Good point.
Definitely already exists.
No. I was gonna say we already know people. We'll connect with Righteous Felon. They're gonna expand their scope.
Brian, you got yours?
Holy Lord, the amount of flavors here are ridiculous.
I think I have my 3. And I
Go
feel
for
like
it.
I'm going to get judged because there isn't. I left the sweet popcorn out. That's how I feel about it. That's how I feel about it. I don't
Fair.
like
Okay.
if there was one that would have made it
potato.
in. If it was just eat a baked potato, like flavors like that, just stop pretending like you like popcorn. Just go eat a baked potato. There's no shame in that. Caramel corn would have it was my like last one out, and it would have been my first one in. But I'm gonna say number 3 is. Does it have to be like brand specific or just like the type of popcorn?
Just a top of popcorn.
I'll go even more brand specific on this one though. Better made cheddar popcorn. Better made cheddar popcorn is so good. And objectively, there might be better cheddar popcorns out there, but that one just feels so good every single time I eat it. And then number 2, I'm gonna go. You guys ever had dill popcorn? Like dill pickle popcorn?
I'm not huge on dill. but
I love dill seasoning. I don't know.
I'm not either.
I'm just with it like
but
that.
it's not for me.
Wing Snob. Have you had Wing Snob, either of you?
Yeah.
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 Okay. They're ranch. They do the dill ranch. I love the dill ranch. Big fan of the dill ranch. So I feel like that gave me the gateway to like see if I could get into other dill things. Say I'm pregnant.
That's what someone in the chat said.
Lion Vanka.
That's Ryan is pregnant. Am I pregnant? And then
That's what we call male pregnancy.
last one, jalapeno cheddar.
Ooh.
Okay.
I've never even had jalapeno cheddar.
Yeah, jalapeno cheddar.
I think I was going to go much more standard flavors.
You got yours, Jeremy? If not, I can go.
Not really. Go ahead.
I'm getting destroyed in the chat, but I'm totally fine with it. I don't care. Yeah, more pregnant emos in the chat, please.
Oh my God, there's a pregnant emote?
Everybody hit you with the Drake album cover?
Yeah. Certified lover boy of popcorn and popcorn.
Oh man! All right, so number 3 for me would be kettle corn, just solid, especially if you got like really good like sweet to savory ratio.
Yeah.
So that's 3. Number 2 for me would be zebra popcorn.
Oh, that's like white chocolate with like little chocolate drizzle.
Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah, I'd eat that.
Good one.
I'd eat that.
Yeah. So, and then number 1 is just like OG movie theater popcorn. It just hits like nothing beats movie theater popcorn. So if I could have like a 10 of that, bro, I'd be a happy little camper right there.
And just why is it so much better? Right? Like
It's
you
the
go to the
set.
movie theater to get the
Chat
popcorn.
is wild. We're going to have to cut off chat.
Is chat going nuts?
We're going to have to cut
You
them
can't
off.
say chocolate drizzle.
Yes,
Of
you
course,
can.
of course, Jeremy likes white chocolate popcorn. Stop it.
It's Black History Month.
Stop
Nico can
it.
say whatever he wants.
You know what, chat? I didn't think I'd have to do this. There, you're off the screen. How about that? How about that? Nah, I can't do that. I'm sorry, chat. I didn't mean it. You're back. Oh, whoa.
Wait, there's a caramel pecan or pecan, however you say it, popcorn out there? Because if there is, I'd eat parts.
Oh. What? Hey, what's the? Have you guys heard of this stuff that they're talking about in chat that makes your popcorn taste like movie theater popcorn?
Yeah, Flavicle.
What?
What's that?
Flavicle. It's this very specific salt that they use where it's like buttered salt. It's like it's really hard to explain. But it is really good.
It's
one of the things I miss about working at the Palace.
It's kosher, Jeremy.
Thanks.
Just trying to make sure we hit all the buttons today.
Yeah.
So,
chocolate covered popcorn, cheese popcorn, butter, movie theater popcorn.
that's it for you.
That's it. I'm flying through this. I'm flying through this until I say
you
something.
would like chocolate popcorn.
Can we real quick? I just want to know, like, what is there a brand of chocolate popcorn? I don't know if I ever see that like out like in the world.
I think,
I go to the grocery
You gotta go
store.
to the hood.
It's like fancy popcorn.
It's like fancy popcorn.
Yeah. I don't know if you just like.
Oh, like gourmet stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
What I always wondered, what the Boy Scouts got stuck selling popcorn. You know what I mean?
Well, the Girl Scouts get
got
like
the cookies.
Got crack, basically. Yeah.
Maybe I think the Boy Scouts just got to up their popcorn game. Go like I'm at popcorn.com and they've got blue coconut, red hot cinnamon, raspberry lemon cake popcorn.
They're just throwing everything at the wall over on that
watermelon.
website.
That sounds terrible, but I'd try it.
I bet you would.
God dang it!
All right.
Dang
it! The show's over, guys. There's no second segment. We're not ranking players, whatever. Doesn't matter. I don't think we're going to be back until after February, if I'm being honest.
I just love how you beat me to the fact that you would try watermelon popcorn before I would.
I tried to make a comment to just be like, man, I wouldn't like fruit on my popcorn. Miko was just like, ah.
Oh God.
Anything
only a
else
matter
you
of
want to do?
It's only a matter of time when you're recording as many shows live like this that you're just going to eventually get yourself canceled. That's just. It's like a monkey's in front of a typewriter. Eventually, you're going to say something racist.
It's the law of average.
Oh no! All right. Yeah, I already did it.
Oh no.
Yeah, I got it. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to use that.
That is a trope.
Oh Lord. Miko's gone. God dang it.
Oh man, I am Sam. I was gonna say the first person to say "good one, Sean" in the chat was gonna be the best joke.
I'm crying that it's literally causing me to my glasses to fog up.
Oh man.
Miko's screen looked like my Instagram feed in the summer of 2000.
2000? Was it that long ago?
No, it was 2020.
No.
Oh God.
All right.
There isn't. On top of this, there's also a Nick the Greek alert.
Oh, great.
I don't feel like you can like not read it because
what else are we gonna?
It can't be terrible by comparison.
100 bits from Nick the Greek says the Lions' hiring decisions in the offseason were apparently influenced by Section B4 LD of the league's recent inclusion initiatives, also known as the Costanza Rule. Hiring multiple bald coaches results in the team being granted 5% more cap space for 2 subsequent years.
Are you going to reach out to Jason Fitzgerald to see if that's true too?
Yes. Yes, I am. I'm not going to read your next one, Nick the Greek. Wait, there was another one. I will read that one, but not your most recent one. I guess. I probably shouldn't read this one either, but I'm going to. Subsection S4CK of the CBA provides that the player on either of the PUP or NFI list has their contract hold until the following league year automatically in the event of scrotal injury, sack tears, which are specifically distinguished from pass rushing sacks used to calculate proven performance escalators. After finalizing the negotiation of that provision, the NFLPA took a 7-figure consulting job at Jerry Jones's investment firm, and they all went to a steakhouse.
That might be up there for like the longest channel point donation.
Okay, there are two more channel point things. Madi Tuhati wanted us to do a list cast on the best receivers that Matthew Stafford has ever worked with. And How I Not Myself also wants us to ask ChatGPT something. So while you think of the best receivers that Matthew Stafford has ever worked with,
okay,
I will
Chris Durham, Eric Ebron.
Literally had Chris Durham pulled up on my computer.
All right, what do you want? How am I not myself? What's the prompt you want me to ask? Galladay.
Have ChatGPT write our official statement that we're going to have to give after this podcast.
Is that what it was?
No, but
that's what you think I should. I missed the Matt Patricia one? I don't think I did. Today?
I like how you have to ask today. Like,
you don't need ChatGPT. Just about Levi and Josh. How does the money work with them on a practical level? Like, were they paid for this season and not being paid for 2026 or vice versa? So I'm still, according to the language that I read and as I understand it, if you were on the non-football injury list for the entire season, you don't get paid, which seems overly harsh to Josh Paschal. And so it's hard for me to believe a little bit, and it makes me want to dig into it a little bit. Because even the fact that like he came back and practiced for like if you remember they activated Josh Paschal's clock, which means he did 3 weeks of practices without getting paid. That seems
it doesn't seem
unlikely
like
to me.
that's how that works.
And I'll show you the language why I think that. But you are paid your full salary if you're on PUP. And that might just be like a provision thing. Like if you're on NFI, it was like, a non-football injury that you did roller skating or something. Like maybe that's the language that's there to protect the league in those instances. But again, it doesn't seem like something that the NFLPA would agree to. All right. So this is the CBA. Over the cap has a CBA section. And so physically unable to perform, any player on the PUP will be paid his full paragraph 5 salary, just means his full salary while on such a list. So Levi got his full $1.5 million guaranteed salary. His contract will not be told, period, if he's on PUP, if he's on PUP, except in the last year of contract when the player's contract will be told if he's still on PUP after the 6th regular season game, he's not reinstated during that regular season or postseason. Non-football injury. It says a player who's placed on a non-football injury will not be entitled to any compensation under his contract while on such list, but except as provided below, the contract will continue to run while in such status. So will not toll essentially unless final year of his contract, blah, 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 blah. So it literally says a player who's placed on the NFI will not be entitled to any compensation under his contract while on such list. That's where I'm getting that information from. And so, whereas it says very clearly, PUP, you will be paid your full salary. So, that's how I understand it. As it's written in the CBA, there might be extra stipulations because, again, it doesn't seem to me like it would make any sense for a player to practice while on the NFI list while not getting paid.
Yeah. Doesn't seem like you can do that. I don't know if you're allowed to do that.
All right. Have you guys been making list casts about
Yeah,
Stafford receivers?
I have.
Miko.
Double muted.
I just have one. Whoops.
No, you're
No.
good now.
No, you're good now.
Okay. I just have one clarifying question. We're talking about the talent of the receivers or the year, like which receivers had the best years with Matthew Stafford?
No, I think it's more fun to just say like
Your personal opinion.
Yeah, like the best receivers that he's played with.
Okay. Then I do have to make
and again,
one
and
small
it,
adjustment.
and it's not just when they played with Stafford. Talking about like the breadth of their career.
So like Anquan Bolden is on this
Stop,
list.
you took one of mine.
What is there a place where I can see every single person who's caught a pass from Matthew Stafford?
Yes, there's got to be somewhere in PFR. I've just been scrolling through seasons, so
I'm just going to use StatHead, and they'll show me who has the most. Is Calvin Johnson the bingo spot at number 1?
Or if it's not, we need to have I was going to say, if it's not, we need to have a serious intervention.
Oh, this is going to take forever in StatHead.
It's kind of taking forever in PFR, even though I know there's got to be an easier way to do it.
Oh, well, I got at least like the top 20 in terms of receptions. That helps.
I don't think you need anything more than that.
All right. Yeah.
Do you got yours?
I think so. Marvin Hall.
Can we count running backs?
Oh wait.
So I was going to say, I only went receivers.
Yeah, I'm only going receivers. I just wanted to have room to make a. Anybody have J.D. McKissick on their list?
I have to change because I forgot about this year, and I need to add one of those guys.
Yeah, that's a technicality.
All
right, I know who I bumped off.
Yeah, I do too. Are you ready? You ready to go? Number 5.
Number 5.
Anquan Bolden.
Go ahead.
Okay. Do we want to do all number 5s and then go up, or do we want each?
I mean, we can. List? We can.
Okay.
My number 5 was Golden Tate.
He was the one I kicked off.
You're holding his announcing against him. How dare you? Yeah, Anquan Bolden, number 5.
Number 4, Cooper Kupp.
Ooh. I mean, okay. The year that he had in 2021 with Cooper Kupp, though,
it's really good.
Was absolutely insane. Triple Crown, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough for me to not have him higher, but
I feel like if Cooper Kupp just wouldn't have gotten hurt, he would have been so much better. He's higher on my list. At number 4, I have Golden Tate.
I have Puka.
Dang. Puka hate.
I have Puka at number 4. Yeah. I think he could obviously. No, I'll wait for the rest of my list because I don't think it's like it's a talented list. So there's no shade at talent.
Yeah. Who's number 3, Jeremy?
I think it's Puka for me.
Mine is Devontae Adams.
Okay, we all have different people. Mine's is Cooper Kupp.
My number 2 is Devontae Adams.
My number 2 is Cooper Kupp. There's no Puka on my list.
Number two is
Such
Devontae
a
Adams
hater.
for me.
And Calvin Johnson
I think
is all the number ones.
Yeah, I think Devontae Adams is like a Super Bowl away from being like viewed as like one of the like best receivers in the league.
There are some fun names on this list that you may or may not remember. Someone in chat pointed out Odell Beckham, which would not have made my list.
Oh yeah, wouldn't have made my list, but that's a good shout.
Marvin Jones. No Marvin Jones love for many of us.
Marvin Jones, like I had Marvin Jones at 5, and then I was like, Golden was better.
Here's one that I'm guessing you would not have remembered. Deshaun Jackson.
Oh.
8 catches for 221 yards.
Oh wow.
Jared Abbrederis.
I have a picture with Jared Abbrederis.
Danny Amendola is like almost kind of makes like would he crack the top 10? Maybe. No. I'm looking at his
Are you
stats.
putting him ahead of Kenny Galladay?
I don't know. Honestly,
If we're talking talent though, I would have I think Danny Amendola had like a very good career.
He did,
all things considered,
but certainly propped up by just winning a bunch of Super Bowls, right?
I mean, yeah.
And also just being like clearly like a lesser than
Wes Welker,
Julian Edelman. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
The Patriots love Danny Woodhead.
I would say though, like I remember when he came to Detroit, and I was just like, meh. Like, dude's always hurt. Like, what's like, who cares? And I was slowly like won over. Like, dude, it's pretty tough. I'll give him that.
I mean, about as exciting as anything could be during the Matt Patricia era. It's like, oh,
right,
yay, Patriots cast off, yay.
I think people liked him for different reasons. See, I'm back on your side. Woo! I did it.
All right, let's carry on Johnson this podcast and go to the second segment. How about that, huh? If you guys love lists, boy, are you going to love this next segment.
Man, this podcast is... Are we sure we're going to be able to get through it all in the second segment? Are we going to do part 1, part 2 this?
Maybe. Let me just get it on the screen here so that I can at least have it set up before we start.
I'm pretty sure, Jeremy, when we got kicked off the podcast, that was in March, right?
Yeah, something like that.
I think it might have been early March, though, because somebody made a funny joke in the chat about like, oh, look at you guys are commemorating the last time you guys got kicked off the air in February.
Is this good? Chat, should we be here or on the other side?
I have to look on Twitch.
Left or right side?
Left side.
Right here?
Strong side.
Side.
That's what we're going to do. I think if we raise enough money next year for Movember, Miko and I will do a dramatic reading of Remember the Titans.
You want me to wear myself out for the team?
Viewers,
what
right?
team?
So you guys rather us be over here?
Jeremy gets to be Ryan Gosling's character.
That seemed like an insult, but I haven't seen that movie in a while. Got some mixed answers, but we'll roll with this for now. And my apologies to whatever ads show up down here because I don't have an ad blocker. Jesus Christ, Sid, no.
Just shut it all. You know what? Chat was a mistake. Twitch was a mistake.
All right. We are essentially ready.
Okay. Never mind. Well, yeah, I guess I will ask this before we get you back in the segment. So this is literally just the players that were active and that played.
Yes.
That we're tearing out. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
there's some players that aren't on this list that technically fit that. Like Shane Zylstra is not on this list.
Okay.
It's
but
just
it's also kind of like, did they meet what your anticipated expectations were? Like, where do they fit in there?
Okay. I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to move this over to the other screen because I can't read the categories because I'm blind.
Are you gonna read those bits from Nick the Greek, Jeremy?
no. But Hench, they give the 4 months. You guys are just insane tonight.
Oh man.
I'm so curious on what's gonna get clipped for social media.
Probably shut this one off.
Yeah. turn off the VOD. No VODs for this one.
All right, ready?
Yep. And welcome back to the Pride of Detroit PODcast. Here in segment 2, we are finally getting to our offensive tier rankings. Now, this is a special list of rankings because we're not ranking every single player that's on the Lions roster that plays for the offense, specifically focusing on the guys that actually made an impact or played a good amount of snaps and pretty much had a key role at some point in time in the season. Ryan, this was kind of like your brainchild, so I don't know. I kind of want to kick it over to you in terms of your thoughts and what you were kind of hoping for us to do with this.
Yeah, I don't want to take all the credit because I did get it from Zach Hicks, who works with forget which organization he's with now though, but he follows the Indianapolis Colts. We've had him on a couple times for First Bites and for other podcasts going back like some time, like going back to like I think 2017 maybe was the first time that we had him on the podcast. But long story short, he had this idea of kind of ranking players. He goes on offense and defense, talking about like in terms of what your expectations were for that player going into the 2025 season, like where did they end up at the end of this 2025 season? So it's a little bit of like consider what they did last year, but also place them in a spot where you see them kind of going forward with the team as well. Because we do have that bottom tier that says time to move on. The next tier up is developmental depth, and then depth, nothing more, nothing less, which I asked Jeremy to add on. Then we have depth, could challenge to be a starter, and then we have starter. Then we have good player and could be elite, and then the top tier is solidified all-pro talent.
And to be clear,
All right,
like
sounds
this might be a better visual medium thing. So if you're listening on the podcast, this might be a good time to at least jump over to YouTube or Twitch and just kind of like see it play out. But at the same time, we'll try to like describe everything and be clear on which tier we're putting everyone to make it palatable via audio as well.
absolutely. All right. Well, it looks like everyone's pretty much in alphabetical order. If I can, if I know my ABCs. So I feel like we just kind of start in that order, and we're starting off, I feel like, with an easy one.
Yeah.
We first up, we have Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Feel like
Anybody
it goes
want to
without
make
saying.
a claim?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, solidified all-pro talent, top tier.
I mean,
Easy.
I don't know.
Yeah.
He went from first team All Pro to second team All Pro. So like,
Oh,
have we already seen the best of Amon-Ra St. Brown?
No, I think though that like Amon-Ra is, I think that the interesting conversation about Amon-Ra each and every year, and it may be this way for like the rest of his career though, is like not whether or not he's an all-pro talent, but it's just like the wide receiver talent in the league just continues to go up. I think each and every year, every new class of wide receivers, it comes like there's these top guys. I still think though, like when we're talking about Saint, he is still to me a top 5 wide receiver. Like it, I don't think anyone has like definitively knocked him out of that conversation.
Yeah, for me, it's dependability. He's so dependable week in and week out. And I know people made a lot of his drops this year, but consider me like 0% concerned about his ability to catch the football. He's also a culture setter here in Detroit. He's a guy who works harder than anyone else on the practice field. he's very arguably the best player on this team and irreplaceable. So no, like he might end up being in the number one slot here, although there's at least one or two guys that are going to challenge him.
We did do a list cast in the break where we were ranking the top 5 wide receivers to play with Matthew Stafford, and he missed him by a year.
Yeah.
But you could very easily make the case that he's a top 5 receiver had he played with Matthew Stafford.
For sure.
That's how good he is. He might be on Jared Goff's list.
All right, this is where I'm going to need your guys' help because I'm terrible with faces and pairing them with names.
Brock Wright.
Let's go, Brock Wright.
Jeremy, where do you have him ranked?
Probably depth, nothing more, nothing less. I think he's an interesting conversation this year. There's a chance he slides into time to move on, but at the same time, seeing the Lions without him in the last 4 or 5 games of the season, you're like, oh, Brock Wright wasn't that bad. Like, no offense to the guys that had to fill in for him, Giovanni Ricci guys that probably don't even know the full playbook and things like that. They got thrown into tough situations. But Brock, like, it's on the final year of his contract. We're talking about all the 12 and 13 personnel that these offensive coaches that are new to the team are bringing in, and I just feel like the Lions can do better at tight end 2 than Brock Wright. But at the same time, like. You save less than $1 million if you cut him. He's almost a $5 million cap hit. I think you just kind of eat the not so great contract on the last year. Maybe ask him to take a pay cut if you're that cap strapped and just say, you know what, he's depth, nothing more, nothing less.
Yeah, I would say that's probably where I have him as well. Like as you were talking about it, initially, I was like, man, depth, nothing more, nothing less. Feels like a weird way to label him, but when you start talking about, like, again, how much he makes and his overall impact to the team, like, again, he's a great tight end too. But I think even going into like this free agency class as well as this draft class, like there is the possibility to upgrade that position and possibly get cheaper at that position when you look at what Brock Wright is commanding. So yeah, I think that's a fair point. And I think, like you said, Jeremy, if you can get him to maybe take a pay cut, like, awesome to have on the team because he clearly does a lot of the things that you want your tight ends to do. He's a good blocker. He's a good receiver. So it wouldn't surprise me if the Lions decided to go in a different direction, but he's definitely quality depth for this offense.
Yeah, it's interesting, like the way that we feel about Brock Wright now versus how we felt about Brock Wright, the offseason 2024, right? Oh, the San Francisco 49ers are, offering him a 3-year, $12 million offer sheet. And man, the Lions really need to have a guy like that. They love their tight ends. And then after, like Jeremy said, then pointing out, oh, hey, are there tight ends who know where to line up? Like that's the bar we're setting for the right. Tight ends over the second half of the season. Like, can you make sure that there are no illegal formations? I think it's a little bit disheartening, and it's not like he could challenge for a starter on this team because it is a team that has Sam Laporta, but like it does feel very much like he's teetering between depth, nothing more, nothing less, and probably time to move on for like the points that Miko made.
Yeah.
But yeah. I think at the end of the day, I think with the way that the Lions saw last season end and their plans moving forward, I think he's just depth, nothing more, nothing less. Even though I think he'll ultimately go into next season as tight end too.
Absolutely. I think this next player is where things get interesting with Christian Mahogany, because obviously we saw him elevate into a starting role this year, missed some time due to injury. And definitely the offensive line took a step back when he wasn't in there. But I do think there is some like legitimate questions on, are you like sold on Christian Mahogany being like the day one starter next year? And I think that is one of the positions when you talk about offensive line, and specifically the interior of the offensive line, that I wouldn't mind seeing, a little bit of competition. And so, interesting enough for me, I think I would actually slot Mahogany at depth, could challenge for a starting role. But Jeremy, where do you think you would have him?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I kind of feel it to some end, but I do think this team thinks Christian Mahogany is a starter. I agree with you that I'd like to see them bring in depth. And I'd like to see them not hand him a starting job, whether it's at left guard or right guard. Although I think maybe he'd thrive a little bit more at right guard. But I think ultimately, if I had to make an educated guess or even put like a percentage on it, I think there's like an 80% chance he's going to be a starter this year. And I hope it turns out better than it did this past year. And I don't, he wasn't terrible. I thought he was looking better before, obviously the broken leg. But I think I consider him a starter right now. And like, maybe even in a year or two, we're talking about him maybe being in the good player, could be elite category, but I think it's too early to have that conversation, certainly. So I agree with you. I think it's between depth, could challenge for a starter, or just starter. But I go starter.
I think the way that I rank Christian Mahogany will be telling once I rank another player. So without saying more, I think Christian Mahogany's the starter. I think they want him to be the starter. And then when we get to that other player, we can have that conversation.
All right, we'll put him in starter then. Two versus one.
Perfectly fair. Next up, we have David Montgomery. Now, I think this is where things get interesting in terms of how the Lions use their running backs and specifically how they use their running backs this past season. Because in past seasons, like him and Jahmyr Gibbs pretty much split carries, Ryan. And so obviously this year we saw David Montgomery definitely take a step back. Where would you slot Monty at this point?
I think with the categories that we can work with here, I think it makes it a more interesting discussion because, I mean, who cares who the starter is, right? Like, who cares who gets the first snap when it comes to running back? I would still put David Montgomery in the good player could be elite category. And I would put him in that spot because a year ago, David Montgomery was in that category. In 2023, you wouldn't have batted an eye. You would have said, yeah, like, is there a category that says like, oh, he could be a Pro Bowl player? Yeah, absolutely. I don't think we're far enough removed from that, even though I know it seems like the trajectory for running backs always seems to be like, well, you hit the peak and then doesn't matter who you are. Yeah. It's only a drop from there. The great ones are able to sustain that peak for 2, maybe 3 years. But for the most part, it seems like you hit this apex to your career and then it's a drop off, and sometimes it can be a pretty precipitous one. I don't feel that way with David Montgomery. I feel like light usage in 2025, hungry and motivated in 2026. Hopefully they get some things figured out. That's why I'd put him in good player, could be elite with the Lions. If he was over with the Las Vegas Raiders, Miko, I don't know if I'd feel the same way about David Montgomery.
Jeremy, what about you?
Yeah, I'm with Ryan that like we shouldn't, just because Jahmyr Gibbs is technically starting in 2025 doesn't mean we shouldn't disqualify Montgomery from being listed as a starter in our categories. I think that's where I'd put him right now. But I definitely hear the argument that he could be in the good player could be elite category. He's inching up to really close to that 30. Like he's gonna be 29 before next year starts, and I can't sit here and say like I'm starting to see a decline. I can't really say that I have. I mean I'll never stop thinking about that Baltimore game he had just last year. I know it feels like 2 years ago, but man, like he was electric in that Baltimore game. And I know he still has that capability. But there are a lot of good running backs out there. And I think if I were to rank them, I'm not sure Montgomery would be in my top 25. And so I feel like I just have to list him as a starter.
Okay.
See,
it's Miko, it's almost like that starter level to me kind of feels like productive player on your team. Like that's like, it's like you are a net positive if you're in that category.
And I think that's exactly though how I view David Montgomery, where he is a net positive player. And truly this is again probably nitpicking our system a little bit, but it's the system we made and I'm going to stick with it.
I love it.
It could be elite portion of the good player, because he's definitely a good player. But to Jeremy's point, like while he's by no means like over the hill in terms of his football career, like I don't know if elite is still within view of David Montgomery, but he is a good player. So I would still slot him in starter. Like, I know that puts him right alongside Christian Mahogany, but like if this was like a, Ryan, as a teacher, you have like B plus, B minus, like Christian Mahogany for me would be closer to B minus, while David Montgomery is closer to a B plus inching towards A minus type of situation.
And we can rank these within a tier, so we'll definitely put David Montgomery ahead of Christian Mahogany in the starter tier.
Absolutely.
That seems fair. I'm cool with that. I think that's the good spot that he can be in. But I also just don't want people to pretend like David Montgomery's like done. And
right.
like
I don't think anyone here thinks he's just an average player. He's just a starter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, there's only so many starting spots in the NFL. And to your point earlier about like, hey, you feel like he's could be elite player with the Lions. With every other team across the league, though, like David Montgomery is a starter, like unequivocally for so many other teams in the NFL. So with that said, let's move over. Let's move over to one of our favorite players to talk about, at least during the offseason, Giovanni Manu. Where in the world do we want to have Gio slotted? Jeremy, I'm going to start with you because he is your guy.
I think he still has to be in the developmental depth spot. Like he's not challenging for a starter spot at this point. I almost want to kind of categorize him as not a roster lock at this point. Like, obviously you want to give him opportunities to grow, and everyone grows at their own rate. And obviously it was going to be a long trek with him. And if you want to make the Mailata comparisons, well, we're about to enter year 3, right? So now's the time when he started to have his breakout. I'm not saying it can't happen with Giovanni Manu, but like, I can't even consider him OT3 right now. Like I want to see the Lions find an offensive tackle that can start in case Decker retires. I want to see them have someone compete with Giovanni Manu for the swing tackle role, because I don't think I can count right now on the information I have, which is very small because he was injured most of this year, that Giovanni Manu has taken the jump to even be OT3 at this point. So for me, he is still just kind of in that developmental depth category.
Yeah, Ryan, that's kind of where I would have him as well. For me personally, is still firmly in that developmental depth category. The question though for me though, like whether he should still be there. Like, are we inching close to that point where like next year he's basically on the time to move on category? Because like to Jeremy's point, you're just not sure if he's progressing the way that you thought he would.
Yeah, and unlike other players that Brad Holmes has drafted, there's not many of them, but like we started off the show talking about Josh Paschal, right? Where it's like, oh, just like availability has prevented you from being on the field. And I know Manu had the injury last year, but it was very clear, like even in training camp, where it was like, okay, like he's still not there yet. And he's not even like pushing Dan Skipper for the role that Dan Skipper has. That I think a lot of us were maybe like overly optimistic to think, oh, like he could really push for that spot. I feel like Jeremy made this tier when he saw Gio's face. He's like, oh yeah, this is the tier I can make for Gio. I will say though, the one thing to be optimistic about is just the fact that like Brad Holmes brought up his name in the press conference, like, and talking so openly about like, well, we know that he's not necessarily the answer just because he's the guy we draft.
I mean, I think a fair question. Well, never mind. I'm forgetting that you have left tackle, right tackle. So I was thinking OT3 depth in terms of one of those positions. Never mind. Scratch that from the record. Let's move on to our next player, because I think this is one where I think our audience will immediately want to slot him somewhere based on how they feel, based on what they feel like the Lions should do, and that's Graham Glasgow. Jeremy, I'm gonna have you once again start with this one. Where would you have Graham slotted as of right now?
It's really tough because I do think a guy like Graham is very valuable to a team, a guy that can literally slip into any of the 3 interior spots and give you at least, like, I would say average play. Maybe not elite play, maybe not above average, but dependable play. Having a backup center is important. But Graham's cap hit is $8.4 million this year, and you can save over $5.5 million if you cut him. So for me, the conversation is between depth could challenge for a starting spot depending on what the Lions do in free agency in the draft and time to move on, which I know is we're talking about the 4th tier or the 7th tier on our list. $8.4 million is a lot for a backup, right? That's a hefty price to pay. And it's I think what you were alluding to in your kind of intro to this guy is everyone wants to just move on from him. I think it's a much tougher conversation, and I'll be like completely transparent. I think there is some, I like the guy a lot. I have a good relationship with him, and that's probably playing a little bit into where my feelings are right now. But I also know like he's well respected in that locker room. I know he's a good football player, and so I'm willing to bite the bullet here of a cap hit that's probably higher than it should be, and say he's depth that could challenge for a starter.
I think ideally you look at Graham and initially I wanted to put him in the same tier as Brock Wright. Like I wanted to put him in the depth, nothing more, nothing less, but not at the cap figure that he's at. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I feel like that would have to be worked out. The Lions save money. Graham can come back. But I think ideally you look at that offensive line next year and you hope that they have, we put Christian Mahogany in there as a starter. Tate Ratledge is going to be a starter. So if he's depth and could challenge for a starter, you're talking about the center position. If the Lions still don't have a plan at center, I'm concerned. I'm concerned about how the Lions offseason went. So I don't want to move on from Graham. I think that's my takeaway is I think that you could do a lot worse. And I think I'm not trying to throw shots, but like, look at what happened when Tristan Colon came in and tried to play center and was your guard depth. Like, I think I trust Glasgow more in that spot of the depth guy, the reliable guy, the veteran guy. I would love if that phase of his career like started with Detroit for like maybe the next year or two.
Yeah. So just so I'm clear. So where did you have him slotted? Depth to challenge to it first.
I had him at depth, nothing more, nothing less.
Okay. I think I'm more in line with where Jeremy has him, where it's depth that could challenge for a starting role. And it kind of goes back to what I was talking about in regards to Christian Mahogany, where if, again, in a world where you are able to figure out your center situation, Ryan, and Graham's not your default solution to that, I would very much like to see what the Lions do in terms of that left guard position or that right guard position and really let those guys battle it out. Because I think obviously Graham has been pretty vocal about the fact that he would prefer to play right guard. And if the Lions make the decision that like, hey, we do feel comfortable moving Tate over to center, well, right guard immediately opens up. And I would be perfectly fine if Graham is challenging for that starting right guard position, which then makes his salary a little more digestible. I think you could still potentially try to work out, some sort of savings there with him. Just because I do think Graham is, he was fairly open about the fact that he had to contemplate his future. Maybe you can get, some type of agreement where you are getting a little bit of savings there as well. So for me, it's depth could challenge for a starter, but it does require a lot of things, like a lot of dominoes to fall a certain way.
Sure.
All right, next on the list, I think we get the next couple of players we actually kind of get some pretty fun conversation with. Isaac TeSlaa, rookie sensation, made a number of eye-popping catches this year. Not quite the overall production, but I think we got a very good glimpse, Jeremy, of what could be depending on obviously his usage and how he continues to grow and develop as a receiver. Where are we feeling, TeSlaa should be slotted right now?
I think he probably, by the end of the season, could be called a starter. Like he's on the low end of the starter list, I think, like maybe even behind Christian Mahogany at this point, because I think there's just so much more to prove. But I consider the wide receiver 3 spot a starting spot because I think every single team plays in 11 personnel over 50% of the time, essentially. So technicality, he's wide receiver 3, and I think that makes him a starter, but like I'm not ready to crown him as anything. I'm certainly not ready to put him in good player could be elite category. He could make that by the end of next season, for sure. I think the Lions are hoping and maybe banking on that, but for me, plain Jane starter right now.
Yeah, I'll put him in the starter category as well. I think, I mean, even if you look at how like the target share kind of ended up leveling out by the end of the year, and I know Khalif missed some time, but I mean, Tesla had two less targets than Khalif Raymond in 2025. So I think the expectation, though, going into like, I think where your expectations should be with Isaac Tesla going into training camp and going into his second season with what the Lions had to do to get him, I think the expectation should be there's three wide receivers on the field around 50% of the time, and one of them is him.
Yeah, I think we this is a clean sweep right here. Like absolutely a starter when you look at I think what the Lions typically like to do with that position, and I think you look at his positional versatility. Obviously, when he was drafted, a lot of people were like, "Oh, there's your X receiver." You look it back though at like his usage in college, it was a lot of big slot stuff, and so you still do have that development of like him being able to play on the outside, but you add in the fact that he can play in a number of different positions, something that both Jamison Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown can also do as well. I think it's a no-brainer that you kind of slot him in that starter role. And I think the next player that we're going to talk about is an even easier layup when we talk about Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, solidified All-Pro talent. Obviously, didn't make the All-Pro this year, but I think when you look at talent, Ryan, like it's not really a discussion when you talk about what Ja is able to do at the running back position.
Yeah, I mean, if the Lions didn't have a Jahmyr Gibbs, we wouldn't be talking about moving on from Dave Montgomery. You know what I mean? Like that's part of the math there when it comes to having a guy of Ja's talent ability. So I don't know. Nothing more to be said about Jahmyr Gibbs. Top
Yeah.
tier.
Yeah. All pro talent, even if he doesn't have an all pro yet.
Okay, now this one gets interesting. I don't see it going too far down the list, but Jamison Williams, I feel like has to be teetering between two tiers. Jeremy?
Yeah, I think he's pretty solidly and good player could be elite. I think that's the best spot for him right now. He's obviously taken a significant jump in his career in the past couple of years. He finished 10th in receiving yards this past season. He still remains top 5 in yards per reception, so he's just like that big explosive play threat that, the Lions need. I think a lot of what they do on offense is predicated on, like middle chunks. You're running the ball and getting 7 yards a pop. You're sprinkling the middle of the field, the short to intermediate parts of the field to get in favorable down and distances. But in the NFL, where you need big chunks, when you need to score quick, you need a big play weapon, and Jamison Williams is that guy. I still think there's a tier to his game that he hasn't reached yet, but seeing him run more polished routes this past year, seeing his production rise, seeing some of the mental mistakes drop, I think he's solidly good, but not quite elite.
Man, I'll tell you what, Miko, wide receivers just don't average over 17 yards per catch. And JMO's managed to do it the past 2 seasons. Um, I like he's in the good player could be elite. And I think the only thing that's keeping him out from reaching the Pantheon, the penthouse up here at the top with solidified all pro talent is just there's some of those moments where he isn't as consistent as you need a number one wide receiver to be, right? Like there are those moments where it's like it's either a drop or it's somebody's not on the right page, and it's not fair to just put that all on JMO, but like there's enough of those things that happen where it's like if he can just clean up like the tiny little nuances here and there, he's the top tier talent that everybody's looking for at the wide receiver position. But like you can forgive those little tiny things because there is the 40, 45, 50, 60 yard play that's going to happen at any moment.
Yeah, I think JMO is the epitome of good player could be elite, and like elite should be like in all caps because the talent is very similar, at least to me, as what we talk about when we talk about Ja. Like it's not just the speed. I think to Jeremy's point, like his routes have gotten crisper. I've enjoyed seeing him run. Like I don't know if there's anyone in the league that I enjoy watching run a comeback route more than I watching JMO run one. Like it's so clean, and the fact that he's able to make guys miss out of it, like the growth is happening. And Ryan, you talk about probably the one thing that's keeping him out of that upper echelon is maybe not making some of those big plays. I'd willing to argue the reason that he's not in that top or echelon is because he's on the same team as Amon-Ra St. Brown, and you're competing for targets, right? Like,
Yeah.
we all can look back at this past season where those early parts of the week where we're like, man, why is JMO not being featured more after we heard all this talk about how he was going to be a bigger highlight to this offense? And lo and behold, despite having a slow start, still gets over 1,000 yards for his second year in the for his second consecutive year. Still puts up, I believe, over 7 touchdowns. So like, his production, and I think like the talent that he has is a little bit bottle capped by just the simple wealth that this offense has, not just at the wide receiver position, but also at the running back position. And we're going to talk about another tight end in a second here. Like, it has nothing really to do with him, in my opinion. It has everything to do with the great circumstances that he finds himself in. All right. We got to talk about QB1 and where this is probably where like people in the chat are probably going to get upset, because I think whenever you talk about Jared Goff, the conversation seems to be unnecessarily polarizing, I guess is the best way to categorize it, Jeremy. So
Yeah.
let's just rip the Band-Aid off. Where do you got JG?
You make me go first, huh? I've honestly, as I've seen his name next on our list, I've been going back and forth between all pro talent and good player could be elite. Now, if we're talking like literal all pro talent, like there's only one or two, is he a top 2 quarterback in this league? He's not, right? But if we're talking about like, does he have the talent of an all pro player? He's close. But I think I'm probably going to land him just a tier short, and good player could be elite. I think that's the proper place for someone that I consider a top 10 player at his position, but not a top 5 player at his position. And that's where I'm at with Jared Goff. I know like statistically, like he is in the conversation for a top 5 quarterback, but I think if you dig a little bit deeper in terms of overall talent, overall things he can do with a team, with an offense, I just think some of his limitations drops him just outside that top 5. And so I have him as a good player, could be elite, but at the top of that tier, so ahead of JMO.
I think it's awesome that him and JMO are going to end up in that same tier, because they belong in that same tier together. I think the could be elite part is the Jared Goff story in a phrase, right? Like could be elite with the offensive line, could be elite with all the weapons he has at his disposal, and could be elite in this situation with this offense. So I personally had him between good player, could be elite, and starter. But I think that there's in this situation on this football team, right? I think contextually we've kind of been talking about that. Like Miko was just saying, hey, the reason maybe why JMO can't be in that top tier is because he's not getting the same amount of targets or opportunities that maybe he could if he was in another spot as like a number 1 target getter. Yeah, Jared Goff, good player, could be elite, but good player.
Yeah, again, clean sweep here. Good player, could be elite. This is where I'm gonna need some help from Ryan though, because I can't put him above JMO in this category.
Really?
I think JMO is much closer on the cusp of being elite than Jared Goff is. I think Jared Goff is very good. But the could be elite, like again, if we're nitpicking the categories that you put together.
I love the categories. I'm being dead serious when I say that, because it is making for some very interesting conversation.
Right.
I am going to plead the 5th though. So sorry, Miko, but I'm
no. You have to, because we have to like figure out where we're gonna put him.
He's pleading the 5th because he agrees with me and he doesn't want it on record.
Yeah, I plead the 5th.
Jared Goff stays ahead
fine.
of Jameson Williams.
Perfectly fine. I will concede on this one. Let's talk about Khalif Raymond and where we believe he should land on this tier list. Jeremy, let's start with you.
This is a tough one because, I mean, and it also depends on what your definition is like the starting punt returner. Does that count as depth that could challenge for a starter? Does that count as a starter?
We're talking about offense, sir. Offense.
Okay, that's fair. You know,
yeah, Mr. Special Teams, get rid of him.
No, I would like to bring Khalif Raymond back. I think There's another wide receiver that we're going to talk at the very end that I think people are prematurely saying could take Khalif's job on special teams. There was a play, I don't know if it was a screenplay or something, towards the very end of the career. May have even happened in the Bears game where Khalif took a pass and just like the rockets turned on. I'm like, oh, right. He's still at 31 or whatever. He's very, very fast and very much can be used as a weapon. I know he's a free agent. I know there's probably a place that can pay him more than the Lions would, but I'd like to see him back. And so I will call him. I hate calling it. I hate, this is where I do hate my own category. Depth, nothing more, nothing less feels insulting, but I feel like that's where I would put him right now.
I think that's a fair spot to put him, but if I am looking at the tiers and if I want to argue to the integrity of the tiers, I want to almost put him in depth, could challenge for starter, even though we put Isaac Taslaw in the starter spot.
Right.
If Khalif Raymond outperforms Isaac Taslaw in training camp and he's technically the starter, or they're getting like a similar amount of playing time, because that's the thing about Taslaw is that it was just like no playing time, and then that just like really got ramped up at the end of the year, be it, you know, Khalif Raymond and the injury and stuff. So like I would be fine with putting him in either or, because I still think that Khalif Raymond is that kind of player that could like challenge for a starting spot. I don't think he'll get it, but like he's definitely like depth that I would love from a shock you from a talent perspective, like you said, Jeremy, but then also from a veteran reliability standpoint. I don't think we have him on the list because he didn't play this season, but you know, Dominic Lovett,
right? He deserves to be part of this conversation too.
From that perspective too, yeah. So,
what'd you land on? I'm sorry.
I'm just gonna go with depth could challenge for starter.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with depth, nothing more, nothing less. And again, I'm with you, Jeremy. Like, I don't necessarily like categorizing it that way, because I think Khalif Raymond is like high quality depth too. Like, it's not, you know, I know this may sound like it's kind of like a whatever for these players that are landing in this category, but like to Ryan's point, I definitely could see the argument of like, oh, he could challenge for a starter. But I think if Khalif Raymond is legitimately challenging for a starting role next year, something has gone horribly wrong with Isaac Taslaw in this situation. And so
I don't think I see it that way, but I know what you're saying, but I don't think I see it that way.
Yeah, I think it's still in the same way that we talked about Brock Wright, where like if you had to miss one of your receivers and you're like, oh no, but we have Khalif still, like you feel really good about Khalif rolling out there and taking snaps. You also feel really good about plays being ran for Khalif in the same way that you kind of are with Brock Wright, where it's like, oh, we're gonna run like this random tight end screen and we're gonna throw it to Brock Wright. Awesome. We're gonna run a couple of gadget plays for Khalif Raymond. That's great. So yeah, I'm going to settle on depth, nothing more, nothing less. Let's get back to the offensive line, because I feel like it's been a while since we've talked about an offensive lineman, and we have Keoti Awosika. Ryan, I'm going to start with you. Where would you have Yodi on this tier list?
Depth, nothing more, nothing less. Like, and I mean that as a compliment. Like, I truly think he embodies that in every sense of the way it's described. Like, it's not an indictment on him at all. It's just, I don't know. That's it. There's nothing to be said about it. Like, it's either that or it's what? Like, it's not developmental depth at this point.
No.
And it's definitely not time to move on or anything like that. So,
I think it's time to move on. He's a free agent. Yeah. He was inactive for the last like half of the season. The Lions have trusted him for a long time to be that veteran guy that can fill in multiple spots, but I just feel like at this point in his career he's done. And I respect what he's done for this organization, because God knows the Lions have seen a lot of injuries on the interior offensive line for the past few years. And it feels weird to say that he's done when he's not even 28 yet. But he has been around for a while, and he has been with this team for a while. And I just feel like when Miles Frazier off an injury is starting to jump you, like, I just think maybe it's time to say, we can find someone other than Coyote as depth.
Is it fair though to ask the question, Miles Frazier jumping you at the end of the season is more, hey, let's see what Miles Frazier can do in the NFL. We know what Coyote brings to us.
But you are making a playoff run, sir.
Well, Exhibit A, Kingsley Aguakin at center.
Right.
So
well, I didn't agree with that decision either.
But that's what I mean. Like at this point, though, like make this decision. Graham Glasgow at his current cap hit as depth, or Coyote Iwashika. And I know he has the center stuff, but you're talking about a guy who's going to be 34 years old when the season starts in Graham.
Yeah. But
I don't know.
For me, it's Graham without a doubt. I think he's a more talented player. He's more capable of starting. Yodi,
even at the cost, like even at the $8+ million.
For me, yes.
Okay. Miko?
Yeah, I got him at depth, nothing more, nothing less.
So we all agree.
No.
Yeah, I do think that like you could do worse than Yodi as a backup offensive lineman. And I understand that, like, trust me, I'm high on Miles Frazier too, and we're gonna get to that once he comes up. But like, I still think oftentimes if an interior offensive lineman goes to the sideline and I see Coyote trotting out, I'm like, all right, we should be solid for like the next couple of snaps to the end of this game. Like, I don't all of a sudden have this panic, to Ryan's point, the same way I do if a Kingsley Aguakin is trotting out there to take snaps at center, and it's like, oh, okay, like, so basically like the interior of our offensive line is probably compromised at this point. Like, again, respectfully, but like that's just kind of the nature of the beast, or at least that's what it was this past season.
Who's next?
We got Kyle Allen.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you recognized him or not.
Nope. Jeremy, you go.
I mean, depth, nothing more. Like, I don't want the Lions to move on for Kyle Allen. I thought he played well enough in the preseason, and I like having a veteran guy as your number 2. So, for me, this is simple. I just like to throw him as depth, nothing more, nothing less. I like having him here. It's fine. And I don't think the Lions need to like significantly invest in a QB2, especially one that might have formerly been on this team and traded away and almost made a Super Bowl run this year. That would be a ridiculous assertion to make.
Are you predicting that Kyle Allen will be that guy for a team next year if the Lions let him go?
That's right.
Come on, we all know the Minnesota Vikings are the only ones that let quarterbacks go, and then they go on to make Super Bowl runs.
Yeah. Where do you have him, Miko?
This is probably the first player that I will say I have at depth, nothing more, nothing less, where it is kind of like that meh. Like it's the definition of meh for me. He's the first one in this category where I'm just like, meh, it's fine. It's solid depth, I guess.
Yeah. I'm right there with you guys. I think that there is room for discussion about whether or not the Lions should draft a quarterback if they like someone on day 3.
Sure.
But then it becomes a conversation of, are we keeping 3 quarterbacks kind of thing?
Right.
Like, and I'm not saying that Jared Goff's getting old, but I am saying that he does turn 32 in October. So
I don't even need to talk age. I can just continue to look at that salary cap number, which I know is going to get restructured at some point, but that bill also still comes due at some point.
Yeah. All right. This next guy might be the most fascinating discussion we have.
Okay. I'll lead off with this one, and I'll just come out and say, I have Miles Frazier at depth could challenge for starter.
Me too.
Like, I'm very
no discussion
high.
then. I have him there too.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. And the reason why I have him there plays so much into Christian Mahogany being a starter. Like,
Okay.
there's very much like, I see Christian Mahogany as the guy, to your point, Jeremy, that the Lions like him. They view him as a starter, but they very clearly drafted Miles Frazier with a plan in mind for him to come here and have every opportunity to win a job.
Yeah.
And I think maybe the clearest route to him, not the route that I'm the biggest fan of, but like the clearest route is Tate Ratledge is going to be our starter. here's an opportunity for Miles Frazier to be our guard. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh
Center.
boy, it's a pretty Miles Frazier at guard and Tate Ratledge at center.
I think you said Miles Frazier, or you said Tate Ratledge at starter. Center is what you meant.
At starting center, that's what I meant. Yeah. I don't know. And like maybe there's the opportunity for him to play tackle. I don't know. Like
that's where I get excited.
And I'm not saying that like they can play that into the calculus of like, oh, Taylor Decker's going to retire. We can count on maybe Miles Frazier being that guy. No, I don't sign me up for that. But it's about as intriguing to me personally as Tate Ratledge playing center. Like I don't want Tate Ratledge playing center. Like that's my thing that I'm holding to my chest this Lions offseason. It's like, please don't let that be the path.
Yeah, it's still not clear where the Lions land on that. They're kind of they're just standing on the fence there, where they're not really revealing their intentions, revealing what their thoughts are on truly what Tate Ratledge's rookie season was and where they see his future. But for me, like I understand that, 8 months ago, I probably said at some point on here, like the Lions could realistically have their interior offensive line of the future already on the team. And it's exactly what you laid out, right? It's probably Miles Frazier at left guard, Tate Ratledge at center, and Christian Mahogany at right, or flip the guard spots. And I don't want to say like my opinion on that is completely flipped. Like it's certainly possible that could be the way it plays out. But it shouldn't be the way the Lions entered the season assuming, right? They need to add more competition. They need to consider drafting a center if that's what they want to do. I can't sit here and tell you anything really notable about Miles Frazier's rookie season because we didn't get to see enough of him. But I do think like there's a shot at some point he could be a starter. A lot of people will continue to point to the Inside the Den for the draft where they took him in the 5th round, but Brad Holmes admitted at the end of day 2, like he would have, if they hadn't traded up to get Isaac DeSlaw, he would have sat there and taken Miles Frazier in the 3rd. So they clearly think relatively high. I mean, if you're taking a guard in the 3rd round, that is, we think this guy is a starter.
A starter, yeah. Long-term starter.
Yeah. So it's on the table for sure. But I think the Lions would be wise making sure they figure something out to bring in plenty of competition on the interior offensive line.
But that's where I will say, like, I don't even want that competition to stop at interior. Like, test him everywhere.
Right.
Like truly see, like, he's one of the more versatile guys on your offensive line. Like, at least if you were able to do it with Gio, where you're, testing him out at tackle, I think that's also the least you could do is like, hey, how does Miles look at either tackle spot? Because I think in a scenario where maybe you don't like any of the tackles that are in this draft class, or you're not able to get one of the tackles that are in this draft class, if Miles Frazier can kick out and play right tackle specifically, like that's a win for Brad Holmes. So speaking of tackles, though, we got to talk about the guy that, like, I think we can quickly run up to solidified all-pro talent and, kind of put ahead of Amon-Ra St. Brown. Penei Sewell, we talked about in the first segment. I mean, I think we all feel strongly that he should probably win Protector of the Year. Any other good things that we haven't said about Penei yet on this podcast?
I mean, there's probably a million. He seems like a great dude. He's the best tackle in football. He's, I think, the best Lions player, the best player on the entire team. And he's still relatively young, and I can't wait to continue to watch him play football forever.
I think he's the one player that you can definitely make a case that there should be like another tier above the other guys.
Yeah.
Where it's like, this is a player who we always talk about, like, oh, Amon-Ra and Goff and Penei, that offseason where all those extensions got done. It's like, oh, those are the foundational pieces. It's like, okay, like we can call them all foundational pieces so that they don't feel bad that only one of them gets named that. But like, there really is just one of them that, like, I would never be okay with ever seeing them in another uniform.
Yeah. I think Chad has it, which is, if there is one more tier that he belongs on, Hall of Fame, right? Like, Canton bound.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's what we're talking about. With even like 4 more years of this level of play, like I think he may have already punched his card, although the voting process there is strange, so who knows.
Yeah. And I mean, we're talking about like again, one of you, already like said it, like, right, best tackle in football. This is a position that I think for a long time, I think, yeah, Jeremy, you said it in the first segment, like Lane Johnson, was in the argument for that conversation. Trent Williams kind of held that, title, unchallenged for a number of years. And here comes Panay still at a fairly young age. And I think a lot of people see that same potential. And I think specifically looking at Trent Williams, like what he's been able to accomplish even as he's gotten up there in age, like you still feel really good about the ceiling of a Panay Sewell and how long he can maintain that ceiling, granted that he's staying healthy. All right, let's move over to tight end 1, Sam Laporta. Ryan?
You want to talk about a guy who I think would have been an All-Pro this year? I think it could have been Sam Laporta. I think there's like Brock Bowers, and I know there's Trey McBride.
Yeah.
And it just so happens that the offensive coordinator for Trey McBride is now in Detroit. I think you can make the argument that Sam Laporta is one of the top 2 tight ends in the NFL. I think you could make that argument. And had he not got injured, I would have put him in the very tippy top tier. But I'm going to put him in good player, could be elite. Just because I want to see it. Like I want to see it from start to finish. Like if we can get a 15, 16 game season out of Sam Laporta this season, I think you're going to see a guy who might be pushing like 90 receptions.
Yeah, that's exactly where I have him as well. Is good player, could be elite, and it's literally what you just said, Ryan. Like I want to see it at that highest level one more time, because I feel like we haven't seen it like that since his rookie season, where you were like, where he like came onto the scene and you were instantly like, oh no, that's one of the 5 best tight ends in the NFL, and you were being polite by saying 5 because you really wanted to say 3. But like that's just how impressive Sam was. And we just, again, injuries are unpredictable and things of that nature, but I still feel like he can reach that level. I still think he can be an elite tight end at this point in his career, Jeremy.
I think he's already there. I think he's a top, like I'm considering this tier top 5 at your position. And I think Sam Laporta has been there for at least 2 years now, maybe 3. I think this past year, it wasn't even just about the receiving production. He took a big jump in terms of his blocking, in terms of his pass protection. I think he is not only one of the best receiving threats in football. I think he is one of the best, most well-rounded tight ends in football. And so I think he's already solidified himself in my mind as an all-pro talent. If you want to play the, availability card, that's totally fair, but I think he has nothing left to prove on the field, honestly. I think he's been providing consistent play pretty much for 3-4 years now. So not 4, because I think mathematically
this is his fourth season. Yeah.
He continues to get better, and he was already in the top 5 conversation after his rookie season. So to me, he's an all-pro talent, but this is a democracy. As much as I may treat it like top of this tier.
Yeah, top of the tier.
Yeah.
Top of the tier. But had you have put him in that tippy top tier with Panay Sewell, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Jahmyr Gibbs, you would put him 4th, right?
I would.
Behind all 3 of those guys?
Yep. So we're nitpicking here.
So but I think it's a good divider. Yeah.
You guys are just wrong.
Fair.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. This is going to be the first player that I know for me personally is going to go into the time to move on category.
Whoa.
And that's Sione Vaki.
Whoa.
Listen.
Eric Schlitt will be at your doorstep in minutes.
That's perfectly fine. I didn't salt my driveway, so good luck coming up the... I'm kidding. But like this is like, I don't know, for me, I understand what the vision was, and I understand how they want to use Vaki specifically on special teams. I think when it comes down to offense, like I'm becoming even more unsure of where that role should be. I get that Craig Reynolds is no longer here, so the path to RB3 is literally his for the taking right now. But Ryan kind of talked about it earlier when we were talking about quarterbacks, where you were like, maybe they could, draft someone on day 3 or something like that. That's kind of how I feel about running back at this point with Sione Vaki, where I don't know how many more times I can like really deal with watching him run out there on special teams and get hurt, because I just feel like that's become a constant at this point. So for me, it's literally Ryan saying availability is the best ability for me, and I feel like Sione Vaki just hasn't shown that. I think he's shown consistently that he's going to get hurt at some point in time and miss big chunks of the season.
I think he belongs in the same tier as the guy the Lions also moved up to draft in 2024. It's developmental depth for me. I don't think it's time to move on from Sione Vaki.
I I don't know what we do here, because I think those are two. Like, I understand I'm pulling in special teams a little bit, and maybe that's not fair to this exercise, but
I'm not considering special teams at all in this equation.
Well, I'm cheating then, because I think he's depth, nothing more, nothing less. And part of that is like I don't know what he brings as a running back. We've seen very few instances of that, but like we've also seen he can catch the football a little bit. He can be kind of that like 2-minute drill type of running back if you need to. And like, I'm also going to say this, and I'm going to say it while I'm knocking on wood. The Lions have been extraordinarily lucky with their skill position health the past few years, like Sam Laporta aside. Like, their wide receivers have played pretty much every single game. Their top ones, their running backs have been incredibly healthy for a position that it's hard to stay healthy in. Just ask the Arizona Cardinals. I think having someone like Sione Vaki, who has been repping with this team for 2 to 3 years, is probably going to be valuable depth. Granted, I don't know how good he's at that position. I don't, but like,
so
moving on.
So that's going to be my question, though. But that's going to be my pushback to both of you is, do you honestly think that they could not find a better RB3 than Sione Vaki? Like, because we are like, I understand, Jeremy, you're bringing in special teams. I am looking at him as a running back. I don't know. I feel like he's the easiest player on this list, maybe except for maybe one other guy, but like, that you could literally go out, whether it's free agency, the draft, or whatever, and bring him in as RB3, and I'd be like, yeah, okay, I can. That's fine.
I think the running back position allows that discussion to happen because I love David Montgomery, but I think it's also within the realm of possibility to say the Lions could do cheaper and not miss out on a ton because you have Jahmyr Gibbs at running back 1. Right, like how?
Yeah,
like could you draft a Manon guy in this draft cycle, and would the drop off from David Montgomery to that level of running back would that make that big of a difference? So like we're talking about RB3, but like I think when Jeremy says you factor in the special teams, like that's what makes it like I'm not moving on from Sione Vaki. Like Sione Vaki's making the roster to me.
So this is the thing. If we're factoring in special teams into the conversation, I would be fine with moving him up to developmental depth. If we're strictly talking offense, like it's a clear time to move on, because even with the analogy of like, well, what about like what if you did the same thing with David Montgomery? Like, I do think David Montgomery is that good. That's why he's the top of his starter tier, because like I don't think you can just go out there and draft another David Montgomery replacement. I don't think you're going to go out there and necessarily find another David Montgomery type player in free agency to be able to spell Jahmyr Gibbs, because in the event where things did go wrong, if things did go wrong with Ja, I would still feel really good about the Lions' chances of running the football with David Montgomery. I can't necessarily say that with a number of other running backs in the draft or in free agency that the Lions are probably going to try to get on day 3. I damn sure feel that way about Sione Vaki when it comes down to like, you can find another one.
They moved on from Craig Reynolds, and they did it for a reason, because they like Sione Vaki. And I think there is value to an RB3 on this roster, and I can't sit here and tell you for sure that he's good at it, which is why I'm saying he's not depth could challenge for a starter, but like he's depth. He's depth that they like. He's depth that they like that provides a ton on special teams. Like, I don't like if we're including special teams, then like he's depth could challenge for a starter for me. Like that's how high he goes up the list because he's almost essential to what they do on special teams and he's freaking great at it.
Right. But like when we're talking about starters, we're talking about starters on offense, right? So like
Sure.
that's where this becomes murky. And like for to make this absolutely clear, there is no David Montgomery slander going on here.
No. I don't think he's going to be RB2. Like if they lose and trade David Montgomery, they're bringing in a running back that is going to jump Sione Vaki on the depth chart.
Right. But part of that too, to Miko's point, is like I haven't really seen Sione Vaki run the football. So like I don't know like what if that opportunity is there for him in training camp? We're going to find out. I don't think that the Lions are going to go into the offseason with their pants down if they decide to move on from David Montgomery. They'll bring in somebody else.
Right.
But I think that, to your point, Jeremy, yeah, like depth could challenge for a starter role if that happens to be the way the offseason plays out. But like I want him at developmental depth. That's all I got him at right now.
Well, I guess since we have one person above developmental depth and one person below developmental depth and one person in developmental depth, that's where he goes. Developmental depth. Fair
enough.
It works for me.
Ahead of Gio.
Yeah.
All right.
Sione Vaki does something on a football field at this point in his career.
Fair.
All right, let's move over to Tate Ratledge. I think this should be an easy sweep.
I don't know.
Maybe
I'm interested to see where this one goes because I'm torn between two here.
I want to go first.
I'll go first, and I think I'll bite the bullet for where Jeremy's probably thinking, but probably doesn't want to come out and say first. I'm gonna go good player could be elite. I think we saw enough from Tate that I was like, this is a really good player if he's allowed, and he could be elite if he's allowed to play and develop at right guard. I think that path is very clear for him. I think things get very murky, and I don't know what the hell he could be if you're talking about moving him to center. Like I think if the move is to center, I'd probably just put him at starter for now because like I would have to see it to know that he would be good at center.
Ryan,
Jeremy, do you want me to go?
I do because I want to look up something real quick.
Okay. I like at first blush, I don't have a problem saying like good player could be elite, but I don't see him belonging to that category right now with like Sam Laporta, Jared Goff, Jameson Williams. I think I view him as a starter. And I don't think that I guess the way that I'm factoring in could be elite is I don't think that at the end of 2026 we'll be saying that Tate Ratledge is an elite guard in the NFL. So I don't see him pushing for like if the good player could be elite category is like, well, once you do prove you're elite, you are in that top tier with Panay and Amon-Ra and Jameer. I don't see Tate Ratledge making the jump over all of these other guys that we have in that second tier. So I have him as starter. And I don't mean that as a diss. I don't mean that as a slight. That's awesome. Like if you have a right guard who you feel comfortable being a starter, perfect.
Yeah.
So I have a question for Ryan real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Ahead or behind Tislaw at starter?
Ahead of Tislaw.
Okay.
Maybe even ahead of Mahogany because at least Ratledge played from wire to wire and arguably he got better and better as the season went on.
Yeah.
So like I would feel comfortable putting him right behind David Montgomery in the starter tier.
I think that's where I fall. I was going to lean good player could be elite, but I just don't think the eliteness can happen this upcoming season. I'm with you. I think he was really, really good towards the end of the season. And I was looking up PFF grades for what it's worth. He finished 22nd amongst guards at the end of the season, but if you just go from week 12 on, he was 17th. 73.1 PFF grade in the final, 7 games of the season, whatever that is, compared to 70.3 his overall grade for the season.
And that's among all guards in the NFL.
All guards, yes.
And
both positions, left
and
guard
most
right
teams
guard.
play with 2. So.
Yes, I would think so. And so, like, I mean, it's getting close to good player could be elite. But like, yeah, to me, it's more just like comparing him to players on this list, and I think falling between David Montgomery and Christian Mahogany is the perfect spot for him.
I think, yeah, I think if we're looking at it that way, that's fair. My thought process was by putting him in that good player could be elite. Like he's at the tail end of that list,
Right.
right?
The
Like it's
the
not like there's a gap between him and
yes.
JMO, like a pretty sizable
Right.
gap between him and JMO.
And with David Montgomery, there's very little chance of him like jumping up the list at this point in his career. Whereas Tate Ratledge, I mean, he just finished his rookie season. He could theoretically end up in the top tier in a couple of years. So I can see why he fits the characteristics of being in that good could be elite category.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Once again, I think this is an easy sweep across the board. I at least think Taylor Decker, easy starter, right? Like probably could be in the good player category as well, but the problem is like, I mean, Decker's talking about retirement this year, and I don't know if he's ever been close or would get close to that elite status at this point. So like I think it really just becomes a conversation, Ryan, on whether or not you have him ahead or behind David Montgomery.
I think Taylor Decker is the reason why I also didn't want to put Tate Ratledge in good player could be elite, because had we done these tier makers back in 2017, 2018, 2019, I would have routinely wanted to put Taylor Decker in the good player could be elite category.
Yeah.
Sure.
But like Taylor Decker has always just been like a good solid starter. And those that again, not a slight to a position like offensive tackle where those guys don't grow on trees and they have careers as long as Taylor Decker. But the starter tier, I'm before this season I would have put him ahead of Montgomery. I think after this season I'm putting him just one spot behind Montgomery, ahead of Tate Ratledge.
Yeah, I think I'm right with you guys. I might actually put him even behind Tate Ratledge at this point, but I don't want to like disparage anything about Taylor Decker, because if he thought he could play and still be a good dad and still take care of his body for 3 or 4 more years, I would love to have him as a starting left tackle for 3 to 4 more years. I know that's probably not in the cards, but he is a good starter. No chance of being elite at this point, and I think he's also endeared himself so much to the city, to this town, that he should be very much in the consideration for the Ring of Honor in Detroit, the Pride of the Lions. And I personally, I hope he gets it, because he's also one of those guys that I just like. He's so easy to root for once you get to even know him a little bit. But yeah, I think that's more of just like I'm very bullish on Tate Ratledge, so I might have Decker right behind him, but that's nitpicking at this point. So I don't know where you guys want to put him.
You just comfortably probably put him ahead of Mahogany, right? Like
Sure. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I was gonna second putting him ahead of Ratledge, like Ryan suggested, but like
then we'll do that.
This is typical Taylor Decker discourse. All right.
All right, let's wrap this list up with our final player, Tom Kennedy, Mr. Practice Squad, I guess is probably the best way to describe him. Jeremy, where do you got TK?
I'm tempted to do depth, nothing more, nothing less. I would not have felt that way had he not had his weird like kick returner renaissance here at the end. And I know like special teams was or wasn't supposed to be part of this conversation, but like they also really value him on like scout team, and I know that's not a traditional football position. We don't think of someone on the practice squad that is just helping the team get better and practice squad be part of the team. But I think that's kind of important. And I think it's kind of something that they really like about him. And I think I'm just going to make the argument that he should be depth, nothing more, nothing less.
Ryan?
I cannot believe that Tom Kennedy is going to end up in the same tier as Khalif Raymond. Just 2 things I want to say about Tom Kennedy. One, watching my dad discover Tom Kennedy on Thanksgiving when Tom Kennedy had like the game of his life against the Packers. He had those 4 catches for 36 yards. And then he had the punt return stuff. He was like, "Man, who's this Tom Kennedy?" I'm like, "He's been with the team for years." He's like, "No way. Why doesn't he play?" I'm like, "Dad, come on." And then number two, 2022, Khalif Raymond might have won everybody's hearts in 2022. But you want to talk about a receiver who averaged 17.6 yards a catch. There's only a couple of receivers on this football team that can claim that, and that's Jameson Williams and Tom Kennedy. So,
Yeah, this might be a little hypocritical based on what I was saying about Sione Baki, but like, yeah, TK is depth, nothing more, nothing less for me. Like, if the Lions wanted to go out and find another receiver that could maybe offer what he does in terms of scout team and all those things, sure. But I think, like, to Jeremy's point that he's made about other players, like the Lions trust him and they know what they're getting whenever they do have to activate him or have him go out there and take a couple snaps offensively. I think the one player that isn't on this list that would be very interesting to see how the dynamic between him and Dominic Lovett kind of plays out over next offseason, like that's going to be very interesting in terms of like, can someone kind of like supplant Tom Kennedy in terms of like his value to this team? A lot of receivers have come and gone, and he's yet to do it.
I probably should have put Dominic Lovett on this list just because it's interesting. I think developmental depth is probably where we slot him. But like I think his future has this kind of like domino effect affecting both Tom Kennedy and Khalif Raymond, right? Like, because I think there is at least a little hope that Dominic Lovett could take over a returner role, whether it's kick returner, punt returner, or both, even though he doesn't have a ton of that on his resume. He's got, the speedy skill set and things like that. But at this point, it's just developmental depth. We don't have proof of concept there.
and the thing I love about these tiers, though, is that you look at depth, nothing more, nothing less. You could see the Lions, hey, we're moving on from this player, right? Like, it seems like that's the tier where it's like, you'd be fine with them returning, but like I see some people in chat that are like, okay, great, so we're not moving on from anyone. Tune in for when we do the defense next week.
Plus, I think each of us had one person in that category. It just didn't.
Right.
Yeah, they just got outvoted.
Vote.
And there's like the Graham thing that's going on, but also you look at like the tier of starter, right? And you look at all those guys, and you're like, yeah, I want all those guys to play for the Detroit Lions next year.
I was gonna say, like,
I was just gonna point out that
because like
there's 11 players that we have starter or better.
Yeah, I think like I think people are going to watch this back and be like, but Taylor Decker and Graham Glasgow are both talking about possibly retiring. Like, yeah, they are. But if they could come back and potentially help your football team, I don't know anyone that's just like, no, we're good, Taylor. We don't need you.
Right.
Like, I don't know anyone who's like just shooing them away to say that, regardless of how much money you.
Right. There's this external narrative that's like they're looking at Taylor Decker and they're like, well, he could retire or he could be a cap casualty, and it's like, no. He's not going to be the second one. Like, he's not. He's they would welcome him back in a second, and they'd be right in doing so.
Yeah, maybe they could work something out financially with him, but like,
right?
I mean, is that guy going to take a penny less to put his body through what he put it through? I would not think so.
I would love to see the person that fixes their face to be like, hey, so Decker, we
yeah, Bob Quinn, step right up.
All right, guys. Well,
before we close out, I just want to say, like, I'd love to see everyone else's version of this tier, and we'll include a link to it in the podcast post on Pride of Detroit, which will include a picture of our tier. So if you're listening on the PODcast and can't visualize it in your mind what it looks like, I'll put our collective tier on there, and then send us your version on Twitter. Email it to us. If you can put it on the comment section website too, love to see that. I'll just make sure there's a link to tiermaker.com, and shout out to tiermaker.com for letting us do this. We didn't ask them, but we just did it.
Yeah, appreciate them. So like Ryan said, look forward to the next week's episode where we do this for the defense as well. I do think that one's going to be very interesting and very contentious in a number of different areas. So definitely stay tuned to that. And like Jeremy said, you can definitely see the entire tier list over on the website, as well as share your own. across social media and just make sure to tag us in it as well. And like always, if you guys are looking for any more additional Lions content, you can find that over on the website as well. And be sure to like make sure that you're following us and engaging with us on our various social medias, because like Jeremy said, I believe during our break, we are getting a little bit more active in that space. So we are trying to share a little bit more content and post a little bit more and give you guys bite-sized clips of the podcast, because maybe not everyone has the time to sit down and listen to a almost 2-hour podcast. But guess what? If you do, good for you. We appreciate you. So
Leave
with
us
all
reviews.
that said, specifically if they're positive, I mean, not trying to mute anybody, but yeah, spread love, spread positivity a little bit in the world. So with that said, I'm Miko. He's Jeremy. He's Ryan. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch and listen, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Recording stopped.
All right, we did it.
We did it.
We were like 5 or 6 people in to the tier listing, and I thought about messaging you guys and be like, I think we need to speed it up a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that thought definitely crossed my mind. But then I looked ahead and I was like, there's some players that we can just like not talk about.
Right.
Yeah.
But honestly, like, I didn't mind going a little long. I think that was fine. It was probably about an hour-long segment in segment 2, but who cares?
Yeah, I mean, chat. Do you want us to do that for the defense, or do you want us to like speed run it? We'll take your feedback into consideration, but then we'll probably just end up doing whatever we wanted to do.
Sure. I will say we did get a positive review, a 5-star one. Do we want to save that and read it on the podcast?
Probably the week after we do the defensive tiers for sure. I don't think we have room in the show. But yeah, we should definitely read it on air.
Okay.
Yeah.
But shout out to Big DMG for the positive review. We'll give you a shout out on the show next week.
Heck yeah.
All right, let me get to alerts if there were any, and I think there were. They're all an hour old at this point, but that's just because we went. Nick the Greek, I hope you're not lying here. 100-bit says, I bought 3 bald caps and had them shipped to POD's P.O. box. They're probably delivered by now, FYI.
Only
I'll go
need
check
2.
Dan, we talked a little about a Kwesi in the first segment, yeah. Nick the Greek, 3 bits, was going to get a Holly Campbell wig for Miko, but too expensive for a good one. I mean, I don't think I've mentioned this before. Did I mention this? We got a blue blue wig in the PO box like a month ago, and I forgot. Did I mention it? I don't know. I haven't decided what we're gonna do with it.
I think you should give it to Ryan.
Yeah.
Why?
No. Ryan already has a very special channel point alert.
I did. Did you replace the nice.
Gross. Hench 8, thank you for the 4 months subscribed to the channel. Nick the Rig, thank you for another 100 bits. K Fletch, thank you for the 29 months. Says it's my Harry Colin anniversary. Yes. He was a Lions defensive back way back in the 90s. It's true. 10 bits from JT Sam says a skunk sat on a stump and thunk the stump sunk, but stump thunk the skunk stunk. And Cam James Kirk, 25 bits, says strange that you guys forgot Linderbaum on the tiers.
We've already gone over that.
I can't believe no one has cashed in the new channel point alert despite us teasing it.
Guess that's fine. I guess that just means they really want me to go get a chicken finger pita.
That does sound good, but I have too many leftovers I have to eat.
Something you cooked for the New York Times?
I did. It was extremely mediocre.
Oof.
Which, it was a crock pot recipe, so like low ceiling in general with the crock pot recipe.
Low ceiling, but high floor usually with crock pots. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just realized I haven't had dinner yet. Like I was taking a minute to register. Like, wait, did I eat?
No, you've just been ranking Lions players for the past hour and a half.
I was just like, I don't know. I'm on a diet, and so it was one of those things where I'm like, no, I ate breakfast, I ate lunch, I had a snack.
Recounting all the food you've eaten.
Yeah, because like I'm hungry all the time now, and so it's like great. I don't know if I actually ate or if I'm just hungry.
Is the fast food tier under the crockpot tier?
Is
Man,
that
how
is
many
that-
other things can we tier list?
That's what I was gonna say. Is that what this podcast is going to become?
Are we just we've graduated from list casts and we're going to tier casts?
Everybody said we were pivoting to video, but really pivoting to tiers.
It'll cater very well to social media. People love a good
It's true.
fast food tier list specifically, because like that gets contentious with people. Haven't you guys done that before?
What?
Tier
Food?
list fast food?
I feel like maybe
Maybe. And we definitely
maybe during a Movember stream, like a long-term one,
we've list casted them probably
a billion
couple
times.
100 times.
A billion times.
Well, I think maybe we're done.
I mean, yeah, we're 3 hours into a stream. I think
Yeah, I think it's about time to go. So I hope you enjoyed this. Midweek Mailbag is just a Pride of Detroit direct exclusive, as I explained earlier in the stream. I saw you shared that in the Slack room during our show.
Yeah, I'm always paying attention. Don't worry about it.
Oh, the reason no one has used the new channel points thing is because I don't see it there. Oh no, it is there. Never mind. That's 25,000. We didn't do
One
any
day.
Super Bowl. You want to do a quick Super Bowl take before we get out of here?
like
that
who
was-
we think is gonna win.
Sure. Or a prop bet you like, or what you like to eat in the Super Bowl.
I mean, I can talk about that last
What
one
I like
for
to
a
eat,
while.
wings. Wings are a must.
Do you have like a preference for sauce?
I'm just all about
Like, do you prefer like a sauced wing, or do you prefer like a plain wing with
Oh,
dip?
no,
Do you
plain
prefer a
Yeah, plain wing, well done. And then
just different flavors maybe to dip it in?
as long as one of them are sweet chili,
Mm.
it's honestly just sweet chili.
Okay.
Like I'm fine with other ones, but yeah. But if give me like a nice lemon pepper wing,
Mm-hmm.
can't go wrong with that.
I just
Yes, traditional wings, not breaded.
I love buffalo sauce so much. Give me buffalo wings 100% of the time. I can
Dude.
get down with some of the other ones, but I just want buffalo wings more than anything else.
I got a I got like a pressure cooker one year for Christmas.
Mm.
Instapot?
Instapot, and man, buffalo chicken dip. Like get a rotisserie chicken and shred the chicken and oh man, buffalo chicken dip
Listen.
all day long.
The company potluck is always like a dice roll.
Mm-hmm.
The first time I ever had buffalo chicken dip was at one of those, and I was like, whoever brought this, you're allowed to keep bringing food.
Invited to cook out. I once made a buffalo chicken donut for the website. It wasn't really like a donut. It was using crescent rolls, but hold on. I called it a buffalo chicken donut just to make it more viral.
You had my interest. Now I'm kind of sitting up in my seat a little bit. Like, wait.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Mhm.
This here, I'll share it in Slack.
You can
and
use that during
I'll-
Black History Month. It's a good Black
Okay,
culture
you
movie.
can reference Calvin Candy. No, it's not.
I'll turn this sound off here. Share
When did this happen?
2018.
I was on staff.
So I'll just skip.
Oh,
to
you're
the
already
end.
set. You're already setting yourself. No, I do remember this.
So basically,
Oh,
it's
my
you
wife
just
this
my
already.
make
wife
a,
makes
bu-
tacos that way.
you make a bunch of buffalo chicken, and I don't know. I
Okay.
think there's celery in there.
Yeah.
And you just wrap a bunch of crescent roll stuff, bake it.
Yeah.
It turned out pretty good. I'm not gonna lie.
Can I read
My wife
one
does the same
paragraph
thing
from
with
this?
Yeah,
taco
re-
meat, and it's really good.
What does your wife do, Miko? That looks like that.
She does that. She makes that with like taco meat.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Really good.
From Jeremy Reisman's best 2018 Super Bowl snack, buffalo chicken pastry bites, which he was definitely commissioned to write.
Almost certainly true.
Quote, I'm not much of a cook myself. Look how much you've changed. Look at you. Now you're cooking New York Times recipes. I'm not much of a cook myself, but the Super Bowl is an opportunity to convince all of my friends that I've got my shit together, culinarily speaking. They don't have to know that I once called peanut butter and jelly on a tortilla dinner while in my late 20s. Late 20s is crazy. Late 20s?
Listen, I was in LA at the time.
Now I'm getting some of the watermelon references and some of the like you was out here struggle mealing it for real.
Every single person that lives in LA, it acts 10 years younger than they are.
So 19-year-olds act like 9-year-olds? That's
right.
crazy.
Yeah.
All right, I know what you mean though. That's so you were just you were acting your age.
Yes. I have some very interesting Pro Bowl related news to share.
Pro Bowl related news?
Because if you thought some of the nominees, some of the people who are playing in the Pro Bowl was ridiculous, let me tell you about someone who said no. His name is Justin Fields. They got all the way down to Justin Fields in AFC Pro Bowl quarterback.
Okay, but they also got that low, but then they still had to get Shedeur Sanders. Like Shedeur Sanders said yes. That's what happened, Nico. Justin Fields said no.
So who said no for Joe Flacco to get in then? Because I'm trying to figure out, was that before or after Shedeur?
Dude. If I'm Kyle Allen.
By the way,
get yourself to an AFC.
The tweet came from Ian Rappaport, and he says, Jets quarterback Justin Fields was asked to participate, I'm told. He declined, focusing on off-season training.
Okay, so I feel like this is like, I don't know why this is news, right? like I don't think anyone cares at this point. Like there was nobody. Once we got to the fact that Shedeur was in, I think we did this. Like we were like, okay, like what quarterbacks were hurt, this, that, and the other. Once you got that list, like I don't really care who said no because there's no one that I would think that you could list to be like, oh, this person said no, that I'm gonna be like, oh, he absolutely should have been in there.
Would you, based on 2025 alone, would you put Shedeur Sanders or Justin Fields higher on your ranking?
I don't want to play this game.
Yeah, I don't like this game. This isn't. Can we go back to doing tiers?
Developmental depth.
Yeah, developmental depth. Time to move on, as Lions Blood said. Time to move on. I part of me wonders though, like why the league would let this stuff kind of get out, because it is like doing a number on the Pro Bowl. You know what I mean? Like it's like I can't remember an off season where there's been like this much like open mocking of the Pro Bowl being just a complete joke.
Does the MVP now matter more than the Pro Bowl?
Yes, because it happens during the regular season.
The Nickelodeon. Oh God, Shador had 10 interceptions. Dear Lord.
Yeah.
How many games did he play?
8.
Come
Started
on.
7. His QBR 18.9.
I go back to my previous statement. They could have had any of the running backs or receivers play. Like, you're literally alternating quarterbacks. Jamar Chase, you get to play quarterback for a quarter.
I'd watch that more than I'd want to watch Shador playing quarterback.
Bro, at this point in time, like, that's literally what everybody should be allowed to play out of position. Whatever position you want to play during the Pro Bowl, if you're not going to play real football at all, then, like, who cares?
Oh man. Fantastic. All right.
I was like on such a good. I was in such a good mood before we were getting ready to end earlier.
What do you
and now I'm
mean?
like annoyed.
This is
I'm annoyed.
hilarious. This is
What do you mean? What do you mean?
This is excellent.
I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed with the Pro Bowl. Like, in a way where, like, at first I just didn't care. Now you made me, like, have an opinion, and I'm annoyed with it. Where's the crowd that's like abolished the Pro Bowl? Where can I send in my application?
Dude.
All right, well then I'll let you have the last word, Miko. You can set the tone on the dismount here.
No, I don't want to.
Look at like,
I'm choosing to opt out of the dismount.
the heavens opened up and delivered me
What?
a notification.
That's a great deal.
Hey,
I love Wings now.
and it's from Wing Snob.
Yeah, I looked
Oh,
up how much
wait
that
up.
is.
You're
28
getting
$28.99.
You're getting less than or more than 50% off. What is this? A text alert system?
Yeah. I'm gonna
How
ask.
do we get on that?
I'm gonna ask them if they'd be interested in.
Are you sure you're not
becoming
getting scammed?
sponsors?
Right? Do you want to sponsor a podcast?
Dude,
I'm not getting scammed. They just sent me another text though that says I have to stop at the 7-Eleven and put all my money in this crypto machine, and then that's how I get the deal.
Or hey, if you click on this link and
Just
vote
text-
for me in my podcast, help me.
They do these like
just-
sweet, like every once in a while, like
What? How do I want on this list? Hold on, wait. First of all, where is a Wing Snob compared to where I currently am? Is there one close?
look at that, man. 50 wings for $39.99.
Dude, I went to Kroger over the weekend, and chicken wings were buy one get two free, like not frozen. I'm like, y'all are.
That just makes me think of Jesse Pleeman in Game Night.
Oh man,
How can that possibly be profitable for Frito-Lay?
I gotta send my wife a grocery list for
I don't know. I don't know
Super
if it's
Bowl
still
batch.
going. Like to me, that was like, let's get rid of this batch before our Super Bowl batch comes in. Maybe I don't. Like I didn't really get it. But you also reminded me.
I don't
that,
know. Kroger does have like ridiculous sales around holidays, so like they be
Yeah.
stuff be off shelves quick.
You didn't get the chicken wings though?
No, I didn't. I couldn't. Because I'm going to be out of town this weekend. I didn't want that much meat in my fridge.
You don't got a deep freezer?
Mm-mm.
You should get a deep freezer.
I thought about just throwing it all in the freezer, but you reminded me that one night I watched the first half of Game Night before falling asleep, so I don't know how that movie ends yet. I should go watch the rest of it.
Yeah, I know I mispronounced Jesse Plemons. Just relax. It's okay.
What are you gonna-
Ponderosa baked wings back in the day. 100 wings for $24.99?
Jesus.
Take me back.
Hey, Ryan, what are you going to do to people who point out that you mispronounced Jesse Plemons' name? There it
That's
is.
not a threat. That's not a threat. That's a Breaking Bad reference. Breaking Bad reference.
Is the Pro Bowl tomorrow? Why did I think it was Thursday? No, NFL.
I was so
Ours is
hoping it was
Thursday.
Sunday and that I just like missed it.
It's very weird to me that they're now making it part of Super Bowl week. Oh,
Well,
Invader
that's the only way they can get
Scooge.
people to care about it anymore.
Invader Scooge finally responded. We're gonna get you that T-shirt, Invader Scooge. If you're hanging around still.
It's just a name that sounds so much better when it's out loud rather than reading it.
It's true. Colton, thank you for the 3 months subscribed on Twitch, and Lasermouse, thank you for the 28 months. And I think we'll leave it at that.
Do you have a wing snob
Yeah.
around you? Did you find that out, Jeremy?
Wing Snob?
Yeah.
There's one in Ann Arbor.
It's kind of a hike.
Ah.
A little bit. All right.
All right, guys. I think we should get out of here. Ryan, make sure to send people a nice long list of all the things Black people created so that everyone knows how to support Black History Month this year.
I'll do my homework.